Microsoft is making big promises and big moves, pushing to ensure their Xbox Activision deal goes through. And I think some of the commentary and even one of the deals they signed is significant with a handful of things attached to it. This could point to less Xbox exclusives in the future, maybe even not really part of their plan anymore to focus on Xbox exclusives, according to some of their own commentary from a press conference. So I want to look at all of it: the Nvidia deal, the Nintendo deal, how do you enter a deal when you don't even own the content yet, as well as some of the commentary about the future being cross-platform, which I think points to less of a focus on exclusive titles. This could add reasons to why Pete Hines in an interview sort of waffled on Starfield staying on Xbox forever as an exclusive title. He kind of said, I don't know. It led me to predict that we may see Starfield on PlayStation in the future, and now we have good reason to think that Microsoft is pushing hard for this deal to go through. Now, I'm going to put all the good information right here at the beginning of the video. I do a little monologue, and then I hang out with the live chat and talk about it. Make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button. I do this so you don't have to go looking for my thoughts. This is going to be sort of everything I'm thinking. So if you're unaware, there was a Microsoft Activision Blizzard press conference in Brussels. Now, during this press conference, there were lots of things that they were focusing on, as well as having sort of like simultaneous announcements. Now, obviously, everybody's waiting to see and hear things about Starfield, and I think some of the things they talked about today and yesterday and this week could actually affect Starfield. I think we could see things affecting the future of first-party titles in general, with Microsoft's strategy apparently shifting. Now, some of this stuff seems like posturing, okay? They open by reminding everybody that they have promised Call of Duty to Nintendo, which doesn't really sway anybody just yet because you don't own Call of Duty yet, and the Nintendo Switch clearly couldn't play Call of Duty. Now, many people have analyzed this and said this seems to be a future plan, likely would work on the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is going to leverage DLSS with a more advanced chipset. They should be able to get significantly more power out of it without really having to suddenly raise the price or even change the form factor. It will likely be another console mobile hybrid, which I think they have done very well with. No other system really like it in existence, with the acceptance of the Steam Deck. And they said that Microsoft and Nintendo have now negotiated and signed a binding 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo players the same day as Xbox, with full feature and content parity, so they can experience Call of Duty just as Xbox and PlayStation gamers enjoy Call of Duty. We are committed to providing long-term equal access to Call of Duty to other gaming platforms, bringing more choice to more players and more competition to the gaming market. Now, I see this as posturing. This is PR. They're trying to make assurances to the public as well as the regulators. Listen, we're not going to start yanking Call of Duty from other platforms. In fact, we want to put Call of Duty everywhere, even on Nintendo. I do think, again, this is looking sort of beyond the Nintendo Switch that we have right now. Now, with cloud as an option, you could put Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch. They would probably forego that and just wait for the hardware update that's likely coming. And if the rumors are true, the next Nintendo Switch should be a lot more powerful than the current one. Now, beyond Nintendo, Microsoft is forging deals with Nvidia, who just a few weeks ago, Nvidia expressed concerns about this deal alongside of Google with respect to cloud and mobile. Primarily, Nvidia is concerned with cloud, okay? Brad Smith at Microsoft has announced a new deal with Nvidia, and it will bring Call of Duty and all Xbox games that are on PC to its services. Quote, Nvidia's Geforce Now service already has 25 million players. Microsoft will be bringing its Xbox games that play on PC to Nvidia's GeForce service. If the deal is approved, it will bring Activision Blizzard games to GeForce Now, including Call of Duty. So what they're doing is they're reinforcing that we're trying to put this stuff everywhere. Now, some of us had made predictions. I have been saying that Microsoft is shifting to a software model, which I'm going to keep referencing Starfield. I'm going to say, listen, if they're pushing toward a software model, that means they want their content and their video games everywhere. They're no longer thinking about a piece of plastic. They're no longer thinking about, oh, you gotta be on our system to play our games. This is a shift in philosophy, okay? This could affect the future of even some of the titles from Bethesda. I believe this reinforces that because they're working with their cloud gaming competitor, okay? Putting games on Nvidia Geforce Now, this is way bigger than the Nintendo announcement. The Nintendo announcement's kind of like, okay, fine, okay, if you get Call of Duty, well, okay. No. This is the bigger deal. Quit thinking about Nintendo. Think about GeForce Now as a competitor with Xbox, and they're like, yeah, we'll put our games over there. That's fine. We don't care. Why? Because they're moving toward a software strategy. They are not thinking about needing you to come to their box anymore. And I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just going to keep saying with this could prove strange for Starfield long term after all of the promises that they made. Okay. Now, Microsoft has pointed to Sony's dominance globally in these discussions. Brad Smith said the following. Think about the market in Europe. It's a market where Sony has an 80% share. Globally, it's about 70-30. In Japan, it's 96-4. That's crazy, okay? These numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year, when there were issues with Sony's supply chain, they came back strong. So essentially, the argument here is twofold. If you kind of want to track with what Microsoft is saying, they're saying, listen, we're working on putting games in more places already ahead of the potential deal, and Sony is in such a strong position, this deal is not a threat to that. And we're not going to start with a foreclosure strategy, which would be pulling all the content off the other platforms. Now, apparently, according to a press conference, Sony outsold Microsoft 69-31 towards the end of last year. That's basically a 70-30 split. That's very impressive. It's not surprising anybody who actually looks at the sales numbers and tracks who's selling better. I mean, I know a lot of the guys who are super pro Xbox started bragging when I think there was like a month where more Xboxes sold, but it was because there were no PlayStation 5s being distributed. So Sony's kicking the trash out of Microsoft in this regard, and Microsoft's using that to say, listen, we're not a threat to these guys. Come on. Which, it's funny for one of the biggest companies in the world to act like, yeah, we're not very big. We're not a threat. In the gaming environment, they're not, right? In the console market, they're not. Like, Microsoft's being very selective and talking about who dominates what, and they are right. They are not winning in the console front. They're framing this around regulators protecting dominant companies, which I don't find to be compelling. I think Sony is a distraction in this discussion. This deal is bigger than Sony. This is going to impact cloud and mobile, which is globally more significant than Sony. And I find this to be a bit of a red herring, to be like, oh, the regulators, if they don't let this go through, they're protecting a dominant company. No, that's not true at all. This is so much bigger than Sony. Regulators across the globe, and both Google and Nvidia have issued their concerns about the deal. Very little was said about mobile. I'll touch on that in a second. Microsoft keeps making it seem like the regulators are only protecting Sony if the deal doesn't go through. That's incredibly unidimensional and reductionist. This deal does not purely only concern itself with what it will do to Sony. The markets with respect to, mobile especially, would be drastically impacted if they got this deal, and I'll tell you how in a little bit. Brad Smith indicates they are actually waiting to get a deal with Sony. He says, we haven't agreed to a deal with Sony, but I hope we will. He says he has an envelope in his pocket with the deal on paper. I thought this was funny. I hope today is the day we will advance our industry and regulation in a responsible way. Sony can spend all its energy trying to block this deal, which will reduce competition and slow the evolution of the market, or they can sit down with us and hammer out a deal. So basically what he's saying is like, listen, I got the deal in my pocket. We'll sit down with you, Sony. We'll hammer out a deal. And I'll be honest with you, Sony's probably not going to come to the table until you actually get the companies, until you actually get the properties. Why would they talk to you about something you don't own yet? Like, there's no reason to talk to you yet. You're kind of I don't know, you're flexing before you have the job. You're flexing your bankroll before the paycheck has hit. You might want to relax a little bit. There's no reason for Sony to sit down at the table until the ink is dry. Now, he sees the deal with Nintendo and Nvidia helping this go through. Smith says he's more optimistic about the deal going through because of the deals with Nvidia and Nintendo. Now, pulling from WindowsCentral.com, and this is where I think they're hinting at less exclusives. So now my thumbnail's going to start to make sense, okay? No more exclusives is what I'm saying. Xbox is going to move away from exclusives, and we have even more hints at this. Now, Phil Spencer said a long time ago, 2 years ago maybe, it might have been a year ago, that we're going to move away from exclusives. I covered this in August of 2022, I think, where I even have a thumbnail of Phil Spencer's face, and it's like less exclusives in the future, because he started to indicate it was like Starfield and Redfall might be kind of the last bastion of that era because they want to put their software everywhere, especially when their ecosystem, we've covered this recently, Microsoft's gaming ecosystem has cannibalized sales. They've admitted this, okay? That's fine if you're selling games everywhere else. Like, imagine a game hitting Game Pass, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to sell very many copies on the Xbox ecosystem, but we're selling copies on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo does amazing with market saturation. We're selling copies on the PS5. PS5 is just doing incredibly well with market saturation. So they would be selling the copies on the larger saturated markets that buy games. Look at the way Nintendo fans buy games. Look at the revenue reports from Sony titles. I've continued to tell people this is a 900 IQ play. If they buy massive titles, put it on Game Pass to make their ecosystem look really appealing, and then just sell it everywhere else on ecosystems that are more prone to purchase games, okay? He compares the number of exclusives on both platforms. That's kind of the first thing he's going to do. Track with what he says here. As the hearing continued, Smith went on to explain that Sony has 286 exclusive titles for PlayStation, while Microsoft has 58 exclusives for Xbox. Great. You're trying to make it seem like Sony's more about exclusives. We're not. That's not really what the debate's about. But again, they keep using Sony as a red herring. He stated, "We have an important relationship with Sony. We haven't gotten any concerns or controversies about those 58 games." He's like, listen, we've got exclusives, and they've never said a single word about it. Then he says something that is very telling. He went on to say that Microsoft plans to focus on cross-platform games from now on. Quote, "As we look to the future, we believe the future is even more cross-platform than it has been in the past." Basically, listen, stop thinking about now. Look at the horizon. The horizon is cross-platform. Games everywhere. What's the point in limiting a game's reach? Is kind of the sentimentality here. He wasn't just talking about multiplayer. Multiplayer was mentioned, and cross-platform is certainly needed for a successful multiplayer game. I've said that about Sony's live service games. I think Sony's live service games will be everywhere because that's kind of the only way a live service game is going to be successful. You need to be able to play it everywhere if you want the game to get off the ground. You can't have a live service game on like 2 platforms. I don't think that's a good idea, okay? Here's the quote. "I'm not the right person to dive into the details of the precise architecture that the acquisition will use, but I will say we will ensure that our games work exactly the way people would expect, whether we're talking about Nintendo, we're talking about Sony, whether we're talking about GeForce Now, or any other platform." Okay, and then he mentions multiplayer. He says, "In a world of multiplayer game, that's a necessity. The game has to work, frankly, equally well for everybody on every platform, or it just doesn't meet the test." So he mentions multiplayer, but he's essentially saying we are now in a world of multiplayer gaming. And in that world, nobody expects a game to be on one platform. Now, I don't agree that we should completely eradicate first-party exclusives. I think first-party exclusives are awesome. I think you tend to get better games because they focus on one system. Developers have spoken out about this. They've said that they can do a better job. It focuses the bandwidth. They can be more efficient. They can do more with the games. Developers themselves have talked about this, so I don't necessarily think that first-party exclusives are bad, but I do think you can see Microsoft is driving home the idea, we're going to put our games everywhere. Give us this Activision deal. We're not going to do a foreclosure strategy. And one last time, I just want to remind everybody, I really think that Starfield could end up not just being on Xbox, okay? I'm just going to keep saying that. I'm going to will that into existence, okay? Let me give you my thoughts And my conclusion before I start talking with the live chat. Number one, it is very clear that Microsoft is making big moves to get this deal to go through. I think the Nvidia deal is honestly more convincing and a bigger power play than the Nintendo move. I'm going to say that again. I think the Nintendo deal's not nearly as big or as significant as the Nvidia deal. I think it's far more compelling to work with your direct competitor in cloud gaming. Okay, they're offering a deal. I believe it's already signed with a direct cloud gaming competitor. Second, it's a deal that can actually go through regardless of the Activision Blizzard deal. They don't need the Activision Blizzard deal to go through to make good on this. Now, the Nintendo deal is contingent upon whether or not the deal actually goes through. Like, nobody's impressed that you're promising Call of Duty to Nintendo. If the deal doesn't go through, then who cares, right? The Nintendo deal looks great on paper, but it kind of starts to feel silly when you really think about a binding contract on a game that you don't own yet. Number two, second thing I want to say, Microsoft continues to show that the plan here is bigger than Call of Duty and PlayStation, even though they use Call of Duty and PlayStation as a bit of a red herring and a bit of a PR stunt to distract from the fact that they want mobile. They want software. They want to put it everywhere because that's more profitable than their current gaming division strategy. If you think the future of Xbox is a piece of plastic and Game Pass, you're thinking too narrowly. I honestly think the language in this press conference leaves room for my Starfield on PlayStation prediction. Gonna keep referencing that. It makes sense of why Pete Hines gave an I don't know answer to the Starfield always being only on Xbox question. He kind of shrugged. He kind of waffled. Who's waffling about Starfield only ever being on Xbox? Why? Because he may already be privy to these private discussions about a very different strategy going forward. Number three, fundamentally, I think the PR moves by Xbox are working with respect to public opinion. I do. I think the public's like, push this through. This is going to be great. They continue to point to both Sony's dominance, but also their willingness to put games literally everywhere. The question remains if they are going to do this, and they're doing this, I think, to maybe hide the mobile games and the mobile market impact. They're not really focusing on that, okay? Keep this in mind. I want you to hear this stat, and I want you to really think about this. Apple made more money on games than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined in 2019. Did you hear the companies I listed, and did you hear the word combined? Activision, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. Combine all the money they made in 2019, Apple made more money than them on games. And that's just from the royalty split. Apple's not out here making video games. They're just taking the cut from all the games that are out there. Okay, this is what Microsoft wants. Microsoft could potentially cut enormously into that market by taking every single King game and ripping it out of the Apple Store, because why share money with Apple when you own King? Why share money with Google through the Google Play Store? And here's how they would do it. They've already demonstrated how they would do it. They did it with Fortnite. Remember when Fortnite got kicked out of the Apple Store because they broke terms of service? They didn't like the royalty split with Apple, so they started giving people a way around the Apple Store to spend money in Fortnite. Well, Microsoft enters the picture and says, hey, Big Daddy Microsoft will help you out. We'll build a cloud infrastructure for you, and people can just use the browser on their phone. And Fortnite came back to Apple devices, circumventing the Apple Store TOS. Microsoft could do the exact same thing with King Mobile. They take every King Mobile game and you yank it out of all those stores and say, hey, we're not removing King Mobile games from devices. It's going to stay there. It's going to stay there with us. And because we're no longer having to do a royalty split with Apple, that's going to save you money, Mr. Consumer. And the consumer's going to say, this is great. I can spend money in Candy Crush and keep smashing candy with mallets and not give any money to Apple. Apple and Google and China are going to look at this a little differently than everybody else, because this is the disruption that could come from this. This is the ecosystem that could be largely impacted by Microsoft suddenly owning one of the biggest mobile game providers out there. So, let me give you my conclusion. I actually think Microsoft made strong moves to get this deal to go through. I do. I'm giving this round to Microsoft. I think they made some power moves. I think this could move the needle toward this thing closing. I still find their argumentation lacking and a little bit of a red herring when they keep pointing to Call of Duty and Sony. I'm not compelled by that. I'm not. I'm like, listen, you keep bringing that up because you know that that's what everybody's thinking about. But there's bigger things at play, okay? They themselves have admitted in interviews that King Mobile was a larger motivation for this deal. The Nvidia Geforce deal, I actually think is the strongest move they made. I really do. I think in the coming days, that's the one that's going to help them the most. Because if Nvidia says, hey, a lot of our concerns are off the table now. They signed a contract with us. That's going to be a big signal to the regulators that, hey, one of the major aspects of this deal is changing a little bit, okay? I'm still curious what the regulators think about the mobile market, since the mobile market absolutely overshadows the console market. A willingness to work with direct competitors may convince regulators, but for now, it seems that Sony is content to sit on the sidelines and not enter into talks with Microsoft, and I honestly think that makes sense. I wouldn't expect Sony to pick up the phone until the ink is dry on the contract, on the buyout. Until then, expect Sony to stay away from the table. That's the show open. 21 minutes. I went as fast and I went as hot as I could, chat. Welcome into another day. Microsoft's making swings, okay? Like, Microsoft's making swings. I really do. I'm telling you, the Nvidia deal, that's the big one in the room. Everybody's looking at Nintendo. Quit talking about Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't matter right now. Nintendo doesn't matter right now. They don't have a console you can put the game on, and the ink isn't dry in the contract. Not even there, okay? Victor says, straight from Nvidia's press release, adding partners to push for approval. Nvidia, therefore, is offering its full support for regulatory approval. Right. Yeah. See, they won Nvidia over. Microsoft can walk in the room and move things. You know that, right? They got deep pockets. They walked in the room and said, how you doing, Nvidia? Yeah, you guys work in the computer world, and that's a great world, isn't it? Isn't it awesome? Isn't the software backbone architecture of the PC world, isn't it great? Yeah, that's ours. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to offer you a deal here. We'll put our games on GeForce Now. Like, Microsoft walked in the room and got Nvidia to say, oh, yeah, this deal's great. After, how long has it been? 2 or 3 weeks? I think that's the road. This is one of the reasons I think they're focused on Sony. Listen, and they're like, listen. If we can get Sony to come to the table, then we'll convince them. We convinced Nvidia. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to convince Google and they're going to be able to convince Apple. I think those are the two players I want to hear from. What do they think about this with respect to the mobile market, right? You know, what do they think about this with respect to the mobile market? Because if I'm telling you, if they go into this and completely disrupt the mobile market, those storefronts have a right to say, hey, wait a minute. You just bought all that stuff and took it away from us, right? What's good, Drummond? What's good, everybody? Hey, guys, go through the morning rituals. Let's get the member goal cracking today. 0 out of 25. Let's get it. Let's get that 25. Let's get our first order of coffee this morning. And I need you to do something for me. It helps this video if you smash the like button. So do it. Give that thumbs up, a little clickety-click, and let's get to talking here. I want to know what you guys think about this. Apple doesn't want smoke with Microsoft when it comes to it. What do you mean by that? And thank you so much. Somebody ordered some coffee this morning before we even started. My man B4110. Thank you for that coffee order. PlayStation 5 is going to one more games coming. Xbox doesn't have. And do you think I'm right? Do you think Microsoft is basically saying, yeah, we're moving away from exclusives, man. Like, that's just not important to us anymore. That's why I went with that in my thumbnail. I thought, listen. I had some guy come into my chat this morning and said, oh, you're going to focus on that and not the Nvidia deal? That's part of what I'm saying, bro. That's part of what I'm saying. The Nvidia deal is huge. They're basically saying, yeah, we don't need exclusives anymore. Here's how we're going to prove it to you. We'll put our games on the competitor's cloud service. Yo, Casual Grinder is going to start the train of members this morning, gifting 5, going to Bama Hammer, Brian Da Silva, Nitro Fusion, Gip Shot, and Uncle Rico Rips. And then Limitless Gaming renews their Member Plus. Thank you so much. And the doctor's office hitting a 7-month membership milestone. Get in here. Found your channel on Twitter. Nice to have different opinions. Thank you. Tried sharing to Twitter here, and it says blocked. I copied link instead. What's your link about? Yo, Casual Grinder's like, I'm going to literally do my own member train. Casual Grinder is going to hit their own member train. Here's 5 more. Trent Llewellyn, Dwoovy, Darren, Frank Trinidad, and Dat Dude. You guys all got gifted members from Casual Grinder. You get a badge next to your name. You get emotes. Welcome. Overhand or underhand mic mount? I don't know. It's literally just a normal mic arm. It's over there on a desk, and it goes up, and then it goes down, and then it's in the shot. Sharing your stream. Oh, thank you. 10 more! 10 more from Casual Grinder. Oh, is anybody gonna help him hit 25? You guys gonna let him have all the glory to himself? Really? Is that what's going on here? You guys are gonna let him have all the glory? Thank you so much, Casual Grinder. Clapton Rules, Anthony Gill, Big Z, 3 Mile Island, Busta, Hip Hop, Perfect Shogun, Hashem, my man Ken Pachi, Adon, Alex 2. You guys all got gifted members. Eugene says, I missed the permissions on the other platform that let us post links. Cardoc Ren says, nope. I'm going to take us across the finish line. Guys, every 25 members, I have to give 5 members to you. I do that at the end of the stream. Now you got a reason to stick around. Keep it here for the full stream. Cardoc Ren goes to Ina Zeev, Pure Lycian, Sprinting Snail, Night Train, and Kabuto Black. There it is. 25 like that. You guys are freaking amazing. Thank you very much. And that's every 25, by the way. We've hit some days over 100 members, so keep it going. Keep it going. We're having a hot one this morning. What's good, feed? I see you in the chat. Lono, Microsoft made a new deal with Nintendo to bring Xbox games to Nintendo, not just Call of Duty. Listen, Ravenous, their public image that they posted, this is literally the image that they posted. Microsoft and Nintendo have now negotiated and signed a binding 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo players the same day as Xbox. They themselves focus on Call of Duty. That ain't me, homie. If it's beyond Call of Duty, then great. I didn't see that. What I saw was an official announcement from Microsoft with an image with Microsoft's logo and Nintendo's logo, and that's what it focused on. It focused on Call of Duty. Now, Nitro Fusion hitting 6 months of membership. Lono, thanks for this awesome content and detailed analysis. Love this community. Hope the family as well. Keep it up, man. Thank you. It's almost like the FTC's reasons for blocking were legit, and it's causing Microsoft to enter contracts to assuage that. Yes, exactly, Eugene. Everyone's like, the FTC doesn't know what they're talking about. The FTC misquoted the EU. No, the FTC quite literally looked at the Bethesda deal and said, these were the conclusions from a regulator overseas. This is what they concluded. We need assurances you're not going to do that again. And Microsoft, instead of doing what all of the Microsoft fanboys did, which was like, this is a bunch of bull, and FTC doesn't know what they're talking about, Microsoft's like, okay. We'll fix that. We'll give you assurances. We'll go into contracts. We'll show you that we are not going to have foreclosure strategy, right? Mr. Maddie has a video. It's more than COD coming to Nintendo. I don't care about Mr. Maddie. He's a swell guy, and I like him, but I need official documentation from Microsoft. All I'm telling you is their public announcement focused on Call of Duty. Is there an official press release that indicates this contract extends beyond Call of Duty? Hellfire with 5 months. Frick, I know it's 5 months. Next month is my 2-year sub. Enjoyed it every minute being here. Thank you, Hellfire. Cardoc Ren with 25 months, and it's a VIP. Says, continuing the red badge. They interviewed Brad Smith. He just said COD. Thank you for a $2 tip, Richard Rodriguez. That okay, you said sounded like Doc. I saw Doc in the chat this morning, so I'm channeling him. Channeling him. Okay. Are you here, Doc? He was in chat when I started. This strikes me as a wait until as a whole company slogan. Lono, do you think a good bit of this is PR, not just for gamers, but for the stock market? Keep investors thinking it looks better later. No, not Doc Disrespect. Doc Dark 1985. That Doc, different Doc. I mean, Derek, I definitely think things like this are multifaceted. They want the public to be confident, right? They want investors and shareholders to be confident in the deal. To be like, wow, okay, this deal can go through. This deal's still good. This deal's still solid, right? Like, but I would say it's more about the regulators than it is about their shareholders. They're like, listen, okay, so the shareholders are fine. We want to make sure they're confident. But like the regulators, all the things the regulators focused on, Microsoft's like, yeah, that's fine. We'll give you commitments right now. Yeah, we'll give you commitments right now. We'll work with a cloud gaming competitor. Yeah, no, we'll give a contract to Nintendo about Call of Duty. You know, like I think it's more focused on that than the shareholders. Now, sure, it gives the shareholders and the stock value, you know, some solidity to say, hey, this deal is okay. You know. Yo, it's a resub. Whoever gifted, thank you. Thank you, Dat Dude, for being here. COD sales on Nintendo was not good. Well, okay, but that's not the point. Listen, that's why I said the biggest and most convincing part of this deal is the Nvidia contract. I find that to be way more convincing than the Nintendo deal. I think the FTC basing their arguments off of the Bethesda deal is wrong. Getting Bethesda and making them exclusive didn't make them a monopoly or throw Sony from the top. But Drufus, none of the argumentation was about a monopoly. It was about, you said this before. Right? That was the argument. People keep misunderstanding that. Like that, they never once said, oh, you did a monopoly. That the word monopoly has quite literally only been used by people who don't understand the deal. I'm not trying to be insulting, but people invoking monopoly are just the people who don't understand the deal. The FTC said, listen, you said this before. You said that a foreclosure strategy, you didn't have financial incentive to do it, and then you did it. That was the whole point. Okay? And so they said, we need assurances you're not going to do that again. There's a lot of players at play this time. We're not talking about one company. We're talking about a collection of companies. I think the Nintendo deal included other titles for what it's worth. The all-cash deal, which is set to be the largest in history of the tech industry, faces pushback from regulators in U.S. and Europe because it would give Microsoft and popular game franchises Call of Duty. No, that has nothing to do with the deal with Nintendo. That's Fuzzy, you're quoting something else. Listen. Don't come in here and tell me that the Nintendo deal is bigger than Call of Duty if you don't have official documentation that that's true. To be fair, he does say Xbox games like Call of Duty. Okay, that is true. The image doesn't say that, but Brad Smith is saying here in a tweet, we've now signed a binding 10-year contract to bring Xbox games to Nintendo gamers. This is just part of our commitment to bring Xbox games and Activision titles like Call of Duty to more players on more platforms. So, okay, that's not official, but Brad Smith tweeting is as close to an official document as you can get without being one. He's literally saying, no, yeah, the commitment is to bring Xbox games to Nintendo. And then obviously he references Call of Duty because that's what's in the image. Like the image that he tweeted is what I was saying. Like if you look at that image, all it says is Call of Duty. I didn't see his tweet. I saw Phil Spencer's tweet. I just saw the image and thought, oh wow, they're promising COD to Nintendo. State of Play, Sony 23 February, Ghost of Tsushima and PC soon. You think we're going to get that announcement tomorrow? I don't know. That'd be really exciting. Yeah, okay. So, okay. Point stands. Mr. Matty Plays is correct. Brad Smith did indicate that they promised to bring Xbox games to Nintendo. He said, like Call of Duty. Okay, then that means that they want to bring more Xbox. Okay, listen to me. that adds even more weight to my thumbnail. Don't come in here and tell me I'm being biased. Why are you assuming no more Xbox exclusives is a bad thing, by the way? Huh? Aren't you pro this deal? Aren't you? You Xbox guys that want to get up my nose about my thumbnail and my title, hold the phone. If this deal's good for gamers, if this deal's good for the gaming economy, because they're going to put games everywhere, why would less Xbox exclusives be a bad thing? Why are you presuming that's a negative thing? Isn't that quite literally the argumentation in support of this deal? Right? Come on, be consistent. Be consistent. This deal's great. This deal's great for gamers. More games in more places, but then you're going to get mad at me that like less Xbox exclusives is a negative thing? Come on. I've not been reading you guys over here on the Tickety Talk. Over 1,000 likes. Thank you so much. Call of Duty is bad. It eats up your memory. No other games. I mean, Call of Duty is a monumental title, though. This isn't about whether or not you like the game. It's about whether or not the game is impactful on the industry. I think that a lot of it is truly because Ticketmaster made promises and lied about it. Oh, the FTC allowed a worse deal in history to go through. Right. Ticketmaster. Sure. Yeah. No doubt. No more console exclusivity. I don't think this will end console exclusivity. I don't think there's a world where Nintendo puts their first-party games on other platforms. I don't think so. Xbox is... read the room. Xbox is doing this because they have to. Xbox is doing this because they've quite literally admitted, we can't compete. That's the headline. Don't get it twisted, right? Microsoft's got deep pockets, and they definitely flexed their guns over the last 24 hours. They're a big player, but in the gaming world, they are in third place. They are playing from behind, and they have admitted in ink, in big, bold letters, we can't compete. So yes, of course they're going to put their games everywhere. Why? Because we can't compete. It's capitulation. It is absolutely not the dunk that you might think it is. And it certainly isn't going to put pressure. Don't even believe this. If people start putting out videos saying like, well, this is going to put pressure on Nintendo and Sony to stop doing first-party exclusives, don't make me laugh. This is going to make those first-party exclusives even stronger in the market. Why? Because there's only two men left standing in the room that can actually do first-party exclusives, and it ain't Microsoft. It'll make Sony's first-party exclusives all the more appealing. It'll make Nintendo's first-party exclusives all the more appealing. This is the only place you can play Mario. This is the only place you can play God of War. Well, you can play it on PC. Yeah, a year later. The pathetic $1 trillion underdog signing illegal deals with property they don't even own. They're not signing illegal deals. Invited to join live? Yeah, no, stop it. People see no Xbox exclusives, they immediately think console wars. Right? Right? Night Fury, thank you so much for sending over some cat paws. Appreciate you. Sony will keep selling to those same 120 million console buyers. What do you mean? Have you, Dr. Dinglenut, have you looked at any of the reports for how insanely dominant the PlayStation 5 has been? Come on, stop that. Just stop. Don't even try. Don't even try to push that narrative that Sony is somehow not in a strong position with saturating the market with their PlayStations. Even Microsoft themselves have admitted, they're like, these guys dominate the globe. They're crushing it. It caps every gen? Well, okay, and is there a point? You could literally say that about every market. Every market, every consumer base, every hardware adoption rate has a cap, my friend. Whether it's VR, subscription services like Disney Plus, they all plateau to a certain degree, and then they focus on churn rates, and then they focus on sometimes raising prices. That's normal. You're not saying anything. You understand what I'm saying? You're not actually making a point. That's true in almost every market. You realize that 120 million means, right, the largest AAA market in the world, right? That's the thing is, even if that's where they end up plateauing consistently, that's market dominance. That's market dominance. Don't say VR, you're making me sad. No, VR is going to go through the same problems. It's going to hit saturation. It's going to plateau every time they try to do new iterations. Who are we arguing against? Most of the messages I've seen in this chat are in support or indifferent to less Xbox exclusives. Solemn, I had a guy in my chat at the beginning of the day running with the narrative that, like, my title and my thumbnail, you're just running with the negative narrative. And let me help you out here. Tons of people come and watch these videos later and leave comments, and I'm cutting them off at the pass. I'm like, listen, you're going to start telling me my thumbnail and my title is negative? No, it's not. According to their own argumentation, according to Microsoft's own verbiage and argumentation, they can't compete, and the way they're getting this deal to go through is saying, we want this stuff because we want to sell it everywhere. They're capitulating to their third place position by taking a completely different strategy. That's not a bad thing. You can't defend the acquisition by constantly saying Microsoft's going to put their titles everywhere. Also, let's really track the argument. Should we do that? Do you guys want to go through the history of this argument that I've had in the live environment? Would you like to go down a little memory lane with me? Let's go back in time to when this deal first landed on the field, and I said, there's no way that Microsoft would limit the reach of Call of Duty. They have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders, and they would stand to lose billions of dollars since 48% of the people who buy Call of Duty buy it on the PlayStation ecosystem. And do you want to know what all of the fully fandom, crazy Xbox fans, this is not all Xbox fans, these are the guys that go full, okay? They tell me, no, man, Microsoft's going to rip Call of Duty from Sony, and it's going to be deserved. There was vengeance in the air. It's like, oh, yeah, we're going to take it from them. I had people assuring me, yes, Microsoft will rip Call of Duty from the competitor. Then, in walk the potential regulators. They hadn't even walked in yet. And do you want to know what these full fans told me? You want to know what they said? Nobody's going to get in the way of this deal, Lono. Nobody's going to get in the way of this deal. They don't want to get embarrassed. They don't want to look silly. EU, UK, and the FTC all walk into the room and say, no, we would like to take a crack at this. Then I'm told this is a joke. The FTC's lying. The FTC's misrepresenting the EU. Whoop, press pause. Let's actually look. Oh no, the FTC is appropriately and directly quoting the EU's findings. And now Microsoft is responding. But how is Microsoft responding? It seems as though Microsoft is responding to the literal bullet point lists of concerns that I had uttered, that the regulators had uttered, that this could be restrictive to the market. This could be bad for the market. They could start to limit the reach of all this property. It could really disrupt things. NVIDIA weighs in, Google weighs in, Sony weighs in. And Microsoft is answering those problems. Do you understand what's happening? If you really track it, it was, they're going to take Call of Duty from Sony. Nobody's going to stand in the way of this deal. The people standing in the way of this deal are full of it. And now that Microsoft is capitulating, what's the narrative? You see, Microsoft's going to put their titles everywhere. Microsoft's going to put the games everywhere. Whoa, where were you 6 months ago? 6 months ago, it was, oh no, they're going to take Call of Duty from Sony. It's a big win for Microsoft. They're going to dunk on Sony. And now the narrative is, oh no, yeah, they're gonna put the games everywhere. You just keep moving the goalposts. So that's a little history lesson into why That's a little history lesson into why I put a little swagger into my show open and dunk on the dum-dums, because they were in my chat every time this came up. And I've been saying, since the beginning, this is a 900 IQ play. I'm not anti-Microsoft. You're looking at the deal too small. You're looking at the deal too narrowly. I said that over and over and over again. I said, listen, I'm a bigger Xbox fan than you are. I have a bigger respect for Microsoft than you do, because I see this as a 900 IQ play. They're going to buy all this software. They're going to bolster the value of Game Pass, and then they're going to sell it everywhere. They're going to have games in their ownership on every platform that's out there. That's a bigger play. That's a better strategy than this stupid console tribalism nonsense, and I kept getting told I was wrong, and here we sit. Microsoft walks out into the public and says, we signed a deal with Nvidia. We're willing to put our games on Nintendo. That is what I said 6 months ago, and I'm saying it today. That is why I'm dunking on the dum-dums. That's why. So, sure, Solemn, they're not in chat right now. They're not in chat right now. They're back sore from moving the goalposts every 2 weeks, so they can't get out of bed right now. Of course they're not in chat right now. They have no narrative now. Game Pass is software driven. It's Microsoft's bread and butter. That's what I'm saying. Microsoft's like, let's stick to our core competencies. We're really good at software. What are we doing here? We're really good at software. Now, none of this means I'm in favor of the deal going through. None of this means I'm in favor of the deal going through. I just called it from the very beginning. I said, this has absolutely nothing to do with ripping games off of PlayStation. No. This is software strategy. From moment one, it was like, nuh-uh. They want to put this stuff everywhere. None of this means I'm in support of the deal. It certainly is helping. It certainly is helping the deal go through, though. I think they won some points yesterday. I'm just making sure that we aren't being categorized in the same class as those dum-dums unless we've earned it. No. I will name people in chat, Solemn, if I feel like I got to dunk on them. They're not here right now. They're not here right now. I'm telling you, they got wore out. Hey, I have an idea. Let's do what made us one of the largest and best companies in the world. That's right. Just treat it like software. Put it everywhere. I'm not in favor, but I'm less concerned if the regulatory process can squeeze more concessions out of it. I will agree with that, Eugene. If a lot of my concerns get answered because the regulators push on the deal, and like you're saying, they squeeze out concessions, that makes the deal less volatile and concerning. If Microsoft's like, whew, man, they really squeezed us there. We had to agree to a lot of stuff. We're in contracts with a lot of companies right now. Here's the question you have to ask. They keep stressing 10 years. Right? They keep stressing 10 years. And that's my lingering question right now. What happens in 10 years? You're spending $69 billion. You're like, yeah. We'll play ball for 10 years. That's fine. Yeah. We'll play nice. We can bide our time. We can wait. We just dropped $69 billion on a global market that shows no signs of slowing down. So, yeah, we can wait. What are they going to do in 10 years? When all these contracts end, that's the real question. Will they say it's more lucrative, it's more beneficial, it's more profitable for us to continue these deals, or it's more profitable for us to do foreclosure strategy? That's the big lingering question you should be asking. 10 years is a long time. At that point, markets become established and you threaten established revenue streams. I think it's even harder to sell shareholders to foreclose to. I was going there, Eugene. Sure, in 10 years, it would be incredibly painful for them to do a foreclosure strategy, and their fiduciary duty to shareholders would be standing in the way of that. Their shareholders would be like, What? No. You can't do that. Leave the property where it is, you morons. However, what was one of the main points that came out of the Apple versus Epic lawsuit? What was it? That Apple uses their dominance to enforce pretty strong, pretty greedy royalty share. You're going to hand a lot of the market to Microsoft if this deal goes through. And in 10 years, they could say, "Hey, Nintendo, how are you? Yeah, good. How's the family, Nintendo? Good. That's awesome. We want more money. We want more money. Yeah, isn't it great having all that property on your platform? Yeah, sells so well. Whew, Activision Blizzard's got really popular stuff. That's why we bought them. We want more money." Hey, Sony, thanks for coming in. Yeah, Nintendo just left. Yeah, they didn't like that. That was really painful for them, but they signed the contract. Have a seat. Yeah, man, Call of Duty's crushing it, isn't it? Record sales. Oh my gosh, the microtransactions. Whew, all of that. Isn't it awesome? It's great. We would like more money. Yeah, we would like more money. How much would you like? Half. Enough from the freak. Like, listen, that's the question you have to be asking. If you're Nintendo, if you're Nvidia, if you're Sony, you're like, listen, they're playing nice now. They're playing nice now. But in 10 years, Microsoft's going to say, do you guys remember when we were in third place? Do you remember when we were playing from behind? Do you guys remember that? Wasn't that crazy? Give us more money. Like, here's the thing. I watched Doc's video this morning. I love Doc Dark. I do. He's becoming a friend in my mind. He'll be on the show regularly if we can get him, because that was a great episode where we debated Game Pass. If his voice, if he didn't sound like somebody tried to strangle him, I'd try and book him for this week, but I don't know if his voice is going to be recovered to really get into the ring again, because this would be a great week to have him back on, because this is hot. But listen. His main point in his video, and you guys should go watch it and leave him a comment. Go debate him in his comments. That'll help his video. It'll get more people watching it. His main point was, I need somebody to tell me how this is bad for gamers. How is this bad for gamers? This can be better for gamers everywhere, right? And I'm thinking, I think Doc's right now. I can't see a problem with it right now. Because sure, games everywhere. You don't need a certain box to play games if this goes through. Why? Well, you don't need to play Xbox games in a particular place, right? That's good for you. Maybe they raise prices. Who knows? But in 10 years, they could literally just start squeezing all the competition. And if I know one thing about business, that trickles down to you. That trickles down to you. And the other thing that I think his video missed, or maybe his video presumed too much, that Microsoft and Xbox care about making sure you get more. That Microsoft and Xbox care about the consumer. No. They care about money. And your sense of satisfaction, or your sense of this is going to help me, that's all part of the plan. That's part of the plan. They want you to give them money. This is a way to do that. Maxwell with the 10 spot. They slowly becoming a third-party publisher, and that's okay. They'll focus on cloud gaming and Game Pass. Eventually, they will leave the console space, making Sony and Nintendo the only consoles. My producer thinks that. He thinks that they're heading towards being a publisher. I don't know about that one as much. I don't know about that prediction as much as the others. I think they're just going to treat it like software, which is essentially what you're saying. But I don't... Here's what I would say, Maxwell. You know how in movies, they're going to pull an Obi-Wan. Microsoft's going to pull an Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan Kenobi. The physical form is going to disappear, but it'll make them stronger. Xbox will continue to exist as an ecosystem. It will no longer be this physical box that you need to go buy. It'll be on your TV, it'll be on your phone, it'll be on your computer. You don't need a box. Now, I don't know how soon they do that. I think there's one more generation of Xbox. Creature thinks, nope, this is the last one. He thinks this is the last one. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Can you say that was all part of the plan again and lean heavy into Heath Ledger's Joker voice? No. I did it slightly, right? Introduce a little... No, I'm not doing it. I really hope not. I love my Xbox. I think we will have at least one more physical console over here on the Tickety Talk. That's not what people are not understanding. And that's what people are not understanding. Hang on. Bill Spencer might be a gamer, but yeah, he still has to answer to shareholders. Next gen could be entirely cloud-driven and consoles may be irrelevant. I don't think consoles will be irrelevant. No. And I'll tell you why. Nintendo Switch will keep consoles relevant because a physical device is needed to a certain degree. And man, oh man, have they brilliantly bridged that gap. Oh my gosh, Nintendo's going to be on a rocket ship next version of their Switch. But I don't think PlayStation will abandon hardware, and the PC market's going to grow just so fast. I don't think people are going to remove hardware entirely for a very, very long time. And VR's on a rise, so I don't think so. For Microsoft, maybe. Would love to make a clip of the "we can't compete" speech. Thank you. And now your mama knows, says, that's how it is now. Yesterday I signed back up to Game Pass, played a bunch of games without an Xbox console. That's right, cowboy. That's right. This video's gonna be epic. This man is consistent. He believes every video he makes is the best video ever, and I appreciate that energy. This video's gonna be epic. PC has so many configurations. Consoles only have a few. Consoles are here to stay for devs to make optimized games run well. Well, and here's the other thing to consider with consoles. I think consoles have a bright future because hardware... I think hardware prices are going to go down, which will increase their ability to make really strong consoles, which will help out the game developers. Yo, Limitless Gaming with a $2 tip through Super Chat. Do you think phones could replace hardware? I think Steam Deck is step one in a very, very long evolution of devices that are this size. Just blowing your mind, right? Not the best, not the most epic. I'm sorry, not the best video, the most epic video. Oh, man, that's right. Yo, what's good, Brown Excellence? What makes you think hardware prices will go down? Well, because hang on. Lester with a $10 tip through Super Chat. It's kind of pointless to care what Microsoft is going to do in 10 years or longer when the majority of the population has already chosen their preferred platform, PlayStation. I like you, Lester. Thank you for the $10 Super Chat. That was very well done. I love when the last line drops it. That was good. Eugene said 10 years could also be the point where they expect to be fully software driven and won't need contracts ensuring platform parity because they no longer have a hardware platform. Right. They would just have distribution contracts. Right, Eugene. And that's when they would say, we want more money. We want more money. We own all this property. You like Call of Duty? You like all that money? That's great. We want a better percentage. Or we will not put it on your platform. We'll be fine. It's everywhere. Now, Nintendo and Sony, let's really think through what we're predicting here. Nintendo and Sony will have weight at that point. Don't get this completely and totally twisted. If Microsoft abandons the console markets to a certain degree and they just become an ecosystem over the next 10 years, Nintendo and Sony will continue to saturate, and they'll get people that are wanting to buy a physical box. They'll get some of that Xbox crowd, okay? Track with me here. If Sony and Nintendo are basically the two biggest console games in town, that's weight. That's weight. Because Eugene's going where I was going once again. That's what made me think of this, Eugene. Look at Fortnite. Epic is like, oh my gosh, we make so much money on Sony. So many of our people play on Sony. And they capitulated to Sony's demands. So you got to think in 10 years, if Nintendo and Sony keep saturating the market the way that they do, they can come to that table and say, you want more money? Piss off. Yeah, you want more money? Sure. You can't afford to not be on our platforms. We're everywhere. We're Sony and Nintendo. What do you mean? Yeah, I dare you. I dare you. Tuck tail and run back to your shareholders and tell them you're taking Call of Duty off our ecosystem. Go for it. Go for it. So you got to think. In 10 years, Microsoft certainly will want to have that bargaining power to say, hey, man, we would like a better royalty share on Call of Duty. And Sony would say, that's fine. We'll give you 1% more. You're not going to squeeze us because you need us. Now. Yeah, maybe. I'm convincing myself of something. Maybe this is the best equation for the consumer. Brains reject like differing thought pathways. Give me a second to catch up. I like when Doc said I'm buffering in real life. Lono is an adopted Brit. Perfect delivery. Listen. Is this an equation that's good for the consumer? If Microsoft essentially gets out of the console market, ends up owning property that puts them into a position where they have to have a symbiotic relationship with Nintendo and Sony for that property to exist well. I don't know. That might actually be good. That might actually be good for the consumer because now Microsoft and Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, they got to work together. That's good for us because if they disrupt it, if they wreck it, if they make it too expensive, we will respond in kind and say, well, that's too much or that's too expensive or you guys are putting too much, cost on the consumer. The deal's only problematic because Microsoft's a first-party platform. If they're not a platform, all the concerns go away. Right, Eugene? That's why my brain suddenly did that. I was like, wait a minute, this might actually be good for all of us if they're no longer in competition with Sony and Nintendo, but they're put into a position where they have to work with Sony and Nintendo. That benefits us. I still don't like this deal. I want to know what they're going to do with mobile. I still don't know. That's a lot of ifs. That's like 3 ifs. If the deal goes through, if Microsoft decides to essentially leave the console market, if they decide to purely become an ecosystem, if they enter into contracts with Sony and Nintendo in a symbiotic way, that's a lot of layers. That's a lot of ifs to get to a place where I'm like, yeah, this is good for the consumer. It could go in a completely different direction. They could have hardware plans. We don't know. They could see this. Think about it. Like they could see this as their way to compete. And if they see it as their way to compete, that could be bad for us because they could do tectonic things to the market. They could do restrictive things to the market and say, no, this is ours now. And the mobile especially, they haven't said a word about mobile. Because, listen, they could take every single King mobile game out of the Apple Store and out of Google Play, and they would still be on those devices. And therefore, they could argue that's not restrictive to the consumer. Gonna get some rest. Take care. See you, Lester. They've already taken Bethesda games away, though. Right. Listen. Starfield, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. People are gonna say I have the ability to time travel. People are gonna call me a prophet. I'm telling you. Starfield will come. It'll come to PlayStation. I can feel it. It's in the ether materializing right now. It's happening. I can feel it. It's a total win for everyone, says Creature. It's why I've been screaming it for 3 years. Microsoft can stop taking losses and spend money on games, and the games land everywhere. Yo, Maxwell with a $5 tip through Super Chat. Just like I'm saying they will turn into a third-party publisher and they'll leave the console space. Lono, give me your worst-case scenario that you're afraid to see this deal happen, because in the end, video games will still be made and we'll still play them, so what's so terrifying? Good question, Cowboy. Number one, I don't like how Microsoft treats their developers with the 18-month contract, and I think everything that happened with Halo is a cautionary tale. I don't want a bunch of property underneath that. I don't. I do not want a bunch of developers. I do not want a bunch of game development underneath that setup. I don't like it. I don't. And number two, my concern for that really goes up if I'm right. If I'm right, and Microsoft says, our core competency is software. That's our core competency. Our philosophy going forward is to treat games like software. Get them made, get them out the door, and get them everywhere. That's very product driven, which means that just dovetails with my concerns about the 18-month contract. If they start treating games like products that have to get out the door, that again adds to my concern. I'm like, I don't want them to own a bunch of these games. I don't. Third worst case scenario concern is, so that this is like, there's levels to this, right? There's layers to this cake. Layer one is, I don't like the way they treat their devs. I don't like the products they've been shipping out, and we have good reason to believe that a lot of the problems come from the contractual policies. Former 343 employees have pointed to this, right? So there's that layer. Then there's the next layer of, like, they've made it pretty clear that, yeah, we're wanting our stuff everywhere. They're taking a software approach. The next layer on top of that is the fact that they could completely disrupt markets. They could completely disrupt the mobile market in the blink of an eye. Now, you might be like, why do you care if they rip the game from Apple? Why do you care if they rip the game from Google? Because that's quite literally what they're saying they won't do. And if they turn around and do that because it's good for their bottom line, that begs the question, in what other areas does foreclosure make them more money? Not the big titles. They keep focusing on Call of Duty. Just walking back in, wouldn't focusing on software require the software be excellent? You can't get lock-in if you don't have a walled garden anymore. Right, but look at Zubair. Look at what they've done with Windows. Look at what they've done traditionally with Windows. They dominate. It's a leading piece of software, and then they make it. Then it's terrible. Look at what Adobe did with Photoshop. Look at what Adobe did with the Creative Suite. Now if you want to use Adobe stuff, you got to go through a subservice. You can't own it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't always lead to better software. When you gobble up the competition and you make it to where you want our game, yeah. It's everywhere. You can get Windows. You can get Adobe Creative Suite. You can get it everywhere, but you got to come to us. And when you come to us, you got to go by our rules, and you got to deal with all the weird updates and stupid crap that we shovel out. You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't perfectly lead to software being excellent. That was mainly due to piracy. I'm sure they'll tell you that. I want you to imagine the third largest auto manufacturer in the world buying the largest electric motor battery company in the world as everyone is moving to electric cars. There is competition, it does. Okay, Zubair, there's competition right now. Has it driven Microsoft to rise to the occasion and deliver excellent games? Has it? We are listening to Stream Tunes. It's a synthwave playlist by Stream Tunes. Now imagine if it's one battery company buying another. Hi-Fi Rush is pretty excellent. Right, but that's you can't keep running to like one standout $30 indie title. Like, yeah, it's great. You can't use that as like, oh yeah, look at what Microsoft cranks out. Look at Halo. Stop telling me Halo was good when it came out. It wasn't. That is such a retroactive, revisionist history of Halo. I'm sick of hearing that from people. They want to act like Halo was good and became bad. Halo was bad when it came out. It was lacking features. It had been delayed. The multiplayer was in a beta. Quit telling me that Halo was good when it came out and then they ruined it. No, it didn't have co-op. You couldn't replay checkpoints. It had glitches and bugs and things didn't work right. Just because it was passable, my gosh, how the mighty have fallen. If you think Halo Infinite was great and good when it came out, it was mid and it lacked features. Quit with the revisionist history. Microsoft has been trying to compete, and the games they've been kicking out have been very inconsistent. And ownership under Microsoft seems to be one of the leading causes. It's a valid point, says Zubair, but that's failure to execute on Microsoft's part. If that is what you are saying, then I take back my commentary. That's what I'm saying, Zubair. Like, if I'm right and they start treating all these games and all these companies like software, homie, look what they did to your boy. Look at Halo. Look at the Halo TV show. Look what they did to your boy. And you want them to have more? You want them making more? You want them treating games like software? I had fun with Halo. Listen, Halo was fine, but people keep creating this narrative that Halo was great and then it went bad because they tried to make it live service and ongoing. In what freaking universe does an arena shooter with PvP, does it have a shot? Does it have a chance if it's not live service, if there isn't a battle pass? And listen to what you are saying. Halo was really great, but they couldn't figure out how to pull their head out of their rear end and do a battle pass and add maps and add modes. But Halo was somehow great when it launched. But they couldn't even do like the minimum of a live service game. A battle pass and maps and modes? What the frick are you doing over there? What are you doing? Are you developing the game with sticks? Are your hands made out of butter and covered in dish soap? What's going on? 3-bit with a $10 tip through Super Chat. Sony has been dominating the gaming market for a long time. Even with the purchase of COD, Microsoft still won't have the global market that Sony has, the global market share. They don't want COD to be associated with Xbox. You stress a good point, Lono. Their track record points to this for years. Definitely understand their reluctance. That's what I'm saying. Like, look at their track record. No game awards. Very few game nominations. The games that get nominated that people want to celebrate for Xbox are games that were bought. Psychonauts 2 and Deathloop. Come on. They bought those games. If Hi-Fi Rush and High on Life get nominations, great. How long were they in development? How long were they under Microsoft ownership? Because if you look at Halo, I'm telling you, I just feel like Halo's a cautionary tale. I feel like we're going to turn around and in 10 years, my beard will have a bunch more gray in it, my hair will have gray on the sides, and I'll look like a less attractive Doctor Strange, and I'll be saying, I told you, I tried to warn everyone that the way that Halo turned out, and here we sit with a bunch of half-baked games and contractual policies that are diluting every product they spit out. And I'll shut down the stream and go take, my back pill. Like, I'm telling you, that's what I feel like is going to happen. I don't want them to own all this property. I don't like how Microsoft treats their property. I don't like how they treat their studios. Microsoft has had more studios than Sony for 3 or 4 years now. That's right. Like they have so many studios. If you can't get your Halo game right, what hope does anything else have? That's why I keep saying, look what they did to your boy. It's like they took their prized show horse and they shot it in the leg and said, what happened? It's like that meme where the guy shoots the guy in the chair and he's like, look at what happened to Halo. What a tragedy. And it's like, you did it. Double Fine literally said Microsoft helped save Psychonauts. Okay, but Malcolm, being saved from financial crisis doesn't mean that ownership under Microsoft is the key to victory. Oh, no. Where is Wheezy? Wheezy! Wheezy! We're excited to announce our agreement with NC Soft, Amazon Games, to bring the massive multiplayer online role-playing game Throne and Liberty to North America, South America, Europe, and Japan. Batten down the hatches, boys. Batten down the hatches. Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty coming to the West. That's worrying. What is Throne and Liberty? I believe Throne and Liberty is the most profitable mobile game in history, is it not? It's been limited to China, has it not? Isn't that the one? NC Soft, Unreal 4, role-playing game. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Why is it bad? I believe it's the most notorious game for pay to win, is it not? I'm fairly certain that's the one. I need Wheezy. Wheezy knows this stuff better than me. I'm fairly certain that's the game. That's like the coup de grace. That's like the big daddy. That's the king of the castle. I believe it's Throne and Liberty, is it not? They're like the biggest, most successful mobile game in history. Biggest mobile game by revenue. Like, I swear I saw a chart once. Oh, it might be Honor of Kings. Okay. Whew. Wait, false alarm. False alarm. It's Honor of Kings. I got my names mixed up. Honor of Kings, Throne, Liberty, like, you know what I'm saying? All that. As soon as I thought, oh no, this is going to be bad. Yeah, it's Honor of Kings. Okay. Woo, false alarm. False alarm. Throne of Liberty is an MMO. I'm pretty sure, isn't Honor of Kings also an MMO? It's just a mobile MMO, is it not? Oh no, Honor of Kings is a battle arena. It's a battle arena. Okay, alright. False alarm. Woo! Woo! False alarm, everybody. False alarm. I got super worried. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Isn't that the game that's like super bad and limited to China? No. Yeah, that's Honor of Kings. That's why I said, where's Wheezy? Because he knows that stuff better than me. I'm not a mobile game expert. I apologize for getting everybody worried. I remember playing Spider-Man on the Xbox 360. What happened? Well, funny enough about Spider-Man is they approached Microsoft, and Microsoft said no to a Spider-Man game. It was 2014, 2015. They were basically saying we have to reinvest in our property, and we can't do that right now. So Spider-Man was offered to Xbox before it was offered to Sony. Sony also had a big head start over Microsoft in the gaming space. What? When? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Correct me if I'm wrong here. I thought the Xbox 360. PlayStation 1? Sony had like 6 years. PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Right, but didn't the Xbox 360 launch and compete very well during... Hang on. I wasn't questioning whether or not Sony was first. What I'm saying is, didn't the 360 come onto the market and do totally fine? I'm sorry, the Xbox, not the 360, the Xbox. I thought the Xbox entered the scene and did fine commercially. Like, actually, even in light of the head start that Sony had, I thought Xbox did fine when it launched. Sony's second console came out at the time of Xbox's first console. The 360 was very competitive, but not as much as it looks on paper. Okay. Xbox came later in the PlayStation 2 lifespan. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point then. Yeah, I mean, Sony did have a head start. I mean, that obviously is probably still reverberating even today, right? Nintendo had a head start. We could probably say that gave them that's established some of their market dominance. Like, you think of video games, you think of Mario, and that really helps Nintendo's brand recognition. That put them in a position to probably negotiate with Pokemon, right? Like, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I was just thinking, like, it froze my brain up. I was like, wait, they had a head start. What do you mean? I was thinking of, like, well, the 360 entered the market, and I thought it did very well, and then Microsoft fell off the map with Xbox One. They completely screwed the pooch with the marketing. Between the Kinect and the Always Online. When I think of Mario, I think of Chris Pratt. Oh, gosh. It's crazy how Sony might not even be here if it wasn't for Nintendo. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because their first console was supposed to be a Nintendo, was it not? 5 spot from Muhammad. Question, how is the Microsoft Action deal any different from the Sony and Square deal? Square was massive throughout the 90s. What do you mean, how is it different than the Square deal? You actually need me to explain to you how the Microsoft Activision deal, how is it different from the Square Enix deal? What do you mean? That's like saying, how is me trying to buy McDonald's how is it any different than somebody trying to buy a local mom and pop shop? Like, that's not even... Chat bringing you to tears? Yeah. Like, come on. That's not even... They're not even comparable. The number of companies, developers, the market reach of Activision Blizzard compared to Square Enix? It's a massive difference. They co-developed the Nintendo PlayStation, then Nintendo got cold feet and left them at the altar, and Sony said, F it, we'll sell it anyway. A lot of people just can't or don't grasp the enormity of Activision Blizzard King. Sigh. Yeah, what did I miss? Scroll up for context. Spider-Man isn't even that good. Sony's had a big head start over Microsoft in the gaming, so once people start a certain way, they don't change. Microsoft's a bigger company, but PlayStation has the bigger audience in the gaming space. Oh, okay. I see what you guys were debating. Yeah. If someone asks you a question, then maybe they don't know. Okay. Here's the thing. A question like that is not a pure question. It's a question that asserts something. Listen to the way that it's phrased, right? Question. How is the Microsoft Activision deal any different from the Sony and Square deal? Assertion. Square was massive throughout the late 90s. Do you see? It's not a question. It's an assertion in the form of a question. Right? If I tell you, how is that any different? This guy's as tall as that guy. I'm not asking a question. I'm asserting something in the form of a question. You can ask questions that don't seek information. They frame everything in a way that asserts a claim. It's an argumentation tactic. It happens all the time. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, by the way. I think I honestly did not realize how big ABK Blizzard is in difference with Square. Okay, think of it like this, Muhammad. Activision Blizzard is so big that Square could be one of their companies. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's how big Activision Blizzard King is. Activision Blizzard King is so big that Square Enix could be one of their companies. Like, they own so much stuff. How short is Lono really? That puts it into perspective. ABK is like 33% of the gaming landscape. One of the biggest reasons it's such a big acquisition, Muhammad, is everybody keeps forgetting the K in ABK. Like, you'll see a lot of people put this in chat. You'll see ABK, ABK, ABK. You're like, what's ABK? Activision Blizzard King. You can't ignore King in the equation. King is the mobile division of ABK, and they own things like Candy Crush. And in 2019, listen to this statistic. This statistic is crazy. It'll blow your hair back. In 2019, Apple made more money on games than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined. And that's just through Apple taking a share, a percentage point, a royalty split on mobile games. So if you take all of the revenue, all the money that's made by Activision, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox, and you combine it all, Apple's like, y'all are cute. Y'all are so cute. They made more money than them all combined. And Apple's not even really making that many games, especially not in 2019. That was like 4 years ago. That's just them taking a share of everybody's game. Now you got to think, in that market, King is in there generating revenue like crazy. And you got to think, Apple only takes 30% of what King generates. So that's 70% of all transactions through King mobile games would suddenly be going to Microsoft. And think about what Microsoft could do if they suddenly yanked all King mobile games out of the Apple Store, out of the Google Play Store. You could still play those games on your iDevice. You could still play those games on your Android. You would just have to go through the browser. That's insanely disruptive to the market. Apple and Google Play would stand to lose millions of dollars annually if they did that. So I wonder just how much opposition they're going to get from Apple. Just how much opposition they're going to get from Google to say, wait a minute now. Y'all circumvented the Apple Store with the browser and cloud. You did it for Fortnite. You could do the same thing with all these games that you're suddenly going to own, and suddenly we get cut out of that deal. Oh, also, don't forget about PUBG. Don't forget about Call of Duty Mobile. All of a sudden, those properties get ripped out of those stores. You don't need it anymore. So I'm new here. Are you an Xbox fan or are you a PlayStation guy? Neither. I have both systems. I've covered Starfield a bunch. Most of my Starfield coverage was positive in defending the game, but I've also been more critical of it lately. But most of that's because we don't know anything. I'm neither. People will tell you I'm a Sony fanboy. No. No, I don't think we can go from this to video, Creature, because that video won't do well with this crowd. I think we have to do that. I think we have to do the same thing we did yesterday. This talk show right into gameplay. Send them to a video. Send them to members. Lono isn't a fanboy of either. He just really hates all things Xbox. Here's the thing, though. I know you're speaking in jest. If you go to my channel on YouTube and you go to Reforge Gaming and you look at when Halo launched, brother, I gave Halo so much coverage and so much hope and so much hype. Like, go back and look at my coverage of Halo before Halo launched and try to tell me I'm a Sony fan. I'm a Sony fanboy. Try it. I was like, I don't know, guys. Arena could be back. I don't know. Joseph Staten could put Halo back on the map. This looks good. This looks promising. Played it, talked about it, and that thing, that night, fell off a horse. It was like, this is just bad. I spent so much time covering Halo because I was like, it could be back. It could be here again, and it wasn't. A Sony fan wouldn't have done that. A Sony fan would have been dogging on Halo from moment one. As long as I've been around, I won't say you're a Sony fanboy, but you're a Sony fan more than you are an Xbox fan. And that's not my fault. Did you play Halo Infinite? I played it a bunch. We literally did a month's worth of Friday night game nights with the community. Go back and look. I'm not making this up. I played a ton of... And I'm like, look, man, I'm just going where the games are. I'm just going where the goods are. That's all I'm doing. Everybody's saying blip, big blip. Not on my end. Yeah, not on my end. That's got to be YouTube. That's not me. I'm fine. He's back. Refresh. Everyone refresh. He's back. Nothing happened on my end at all. That was weird. Did I sound weird at all in Discord? I had no issues on my end at all. That was huge. I just blipped and froze. So weird. YouTube must be doing stuff. It's not on my end. I've had no issues at all. Lono, chill. You're knocking out the stream. So you don't like Xbox because of politics, basically? What? You clearly should be the next Sherlock Holmes with your deductive reasoning. What did I say that led you to think that I don't like Xbox because of politics? I bet you this reply is just going to be so intelligent and thoughtful. I can't wait for you to type it. I was hugely in Xbox's corner. I was hugely in Halo's corner, and they fumbled the ball. And then they spent all of last year doing basically nothing. Politics within business? What politics within business did I talk about? What politics did I talk about? I talked about how Halo was bad and it wasn't a good game. It fell on its face. Seasonal design was terrible. The Battle Pass was terrible. And then Sony's launching great games last year. Of course I leaned Sony last year. They actually launched games! What do you mean? Don't tell me I'm a Sony fan. What was I supposed to do last year? Pretend Halo was good? Pretend that Microsoft was launching good games? How's that my fault? I loved Microsoft, and my absolute love of Microsoft results in my hatred of Xbox. It's an embarrassment to Microsoft, says Creature. Sub to YouTube, thank you. Wait, Starfield. Wait, Starfield going to Sony? Blipped so hard my PC turned off. That's not me. What good games did Sony launch? I have both systems and there hasn't been one. You have a PS5, right? I'm supposed to believe that you have a PS5. That you have a PS5 right now, and you didn't get Returnal, you didn't get Ratchet and Clank, you didn't get Horizon Forbidden West, you didn't get God of War Ragnarok, you didn't get The Last of Us Remake, you didn't get Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, you didn't get Death Stranding Director's Cut, you didn't buy any of that, none of those games are good, you're a moron. Give your PS5 to somebody with a brain. You bought a piece of plastic. You left your brain at home and went and bought a piece of plastic and you have no intentions of using it. Give it to somebody else. I'll take the PS5. Yeah, I got some in my YouTube chat that'll take your PS5. It collects dust as it should. Like I said, people like you got as much engagement from me as you're gonna get. You're not worth engaging with because you just drive some unsubstantiated, non-demonstrable narrative. They've not launched any good games. And you ignore a laundry list of games that they released to I don't know what. Like, I guess that's your way of defending Xbox. It's like, I know Xbox hasn't launched any good games, but man, all those Sony games over there, I don't think they launched any games either. I don't get what everybody's talking about. I mean, I know they dominated the Game Awards with nominations that like listed like a CVS receipt long, but I just don't understand, why does everybody think Sony has good games? I would never buy a PS5, but if someone gave me one, it would sit next to my Series S while I play on my PC. I think Lono said Starfield's still coming to PlayStation, unless he was joking. No, I think Starfield has a very distinct possibility of coming to PlayStation. Yes. Yep. Yes, because Pete Hines waffled in an interview. Why would you waffle? Why would you waffle in an interview? What, oh, I don't know. He says, I don't know. That's what he said? Starfield staying on Xbox. Oh, it'll be an Xbox exclusive for forever. He says, I don't know. He doesn't want to seem harsh. He says, I don't know. And then what I want you to do is, I want you to look at the commentary from yesterday where Brad Smith says the future is cross-platform. Basically like, yeah, platform exclusives? Yeah, that's not the future. To get this deal to go through, they're basically saying, yeah, our plan's going forward is cross-platform. Like, we're not, come on, above his pay grade. Let me tell you something. If it's above your pay grade, do you know what you're going to do? You're going to default to the narrative that's been established up to that point. And the narrative up to that point was Starfield and Redfall are Xbox exclusives. And suddenly, Pete Hines, I love how you think this is above his pay grade, by the way. Go look at his title. You think that Pete Hines is like, I don't know. You'll have to go ask Phil Spencer. I don't know. Maybe not. Come on. That's not a good answer. I don't know. And then Microsoft holds a press conference yesterday defending the Xbox Activision deal, and they're driving home the point that they want their games everywhere. They literally signed a contractual deal with their cloud gaming competitor, Nvidia. Come on. There's a shift in strategy, bro. There's a shift in strategy. You just don't see it. I've been screaming this since this deal came into the public's view. I've been saying 900 IQ play, Microsoft. Buy all this property. You've got tons of first-party games to throw on Game Pass, and then you can sell them everywhere else. You get money from both funnels. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Some stream ago, you were saying Xbox Game Pass needed to change. For that, Xbox needs to change. If they are bringing the AAA to other platforms, that is the movement that will make game like Office. Like, treat it like software? Is that what you mean? Microsoft Office? I don't personally agree with platform exclusivity, but I don't see it going anywhere. No. Hear me out. I don't think exclusive games are going anywhere. I think Microsoft's moving away from it because what they want to do is treat the games like software. And what do you do with your software? You put it everywhere it'll go. Like, imagine developing a mobile game. And mobile games are incredibly popular. And you look at the just insane dominance of the iPhone, and you're like, oh man, we can make a ton of money there. And then you look at the global dominance of the Android platform. You would want it in both places. If you could do it, you stand to make way more money. So I think that's the idea that Microsoft has. It's like, Sony's got great saturation in the market. So does Nintendo. What are we doing here? Instead of trying to compete with them, let's just sell our games on their platforms. Let's buy a bunch of games and sell them on those platforms. It's okay. If you've watched The Founder, where all of a sudden the main character realizes, I can just buy the property that all of the McDonald's franchises are on. It's a poignant point in the movie. He says, you're in the real estate business and you don't even know it. That's the business that you're in. You're in the real estate business. So he goes out and he buys all of the property, and he basically takes McDonald's from those guys by doing that. And Microsoft's doing a similar thing. They're looking and they're saying, look at how many PlayStations are out there in circulation. Look at how many Nintendo Switches are out there in circulation. Look at all of the look at all of the PC projections for growth. This is why Capcom and Sony are starting to put their games on PC, because the PC platform is going to see insane growth over the next 10 years. So Microsoft looks at all of that and says, wait. What if we stopped competing with these people and we just started selling our property on them? Let's do that instead. Your mic is bugged. You probably just need to refresh. My mic is fine. Over 500 people would be flipping out if my microphone was bugged. YouTube had a blip earlier. Sometimes you have to refresh if it's like desyncing or something. When's Nintendo going to put out releases? Discord's been good, so it's 100% not a mic. Yeah. So when Microsoft does what with hardware? Drop it? Find a niche like streaming boxes? Well, they tried to do... Hang on. My drawstring's like... There we go. They tried to do the streaming dongle, and they couldn't get the price point right. Right? They could not get the price point right, so they dropped it. So, I don't know. Creature thinks that we will not see another Microsoft console after the Xbox Series X. I don't agree with that. I think they have one more console up their sleeve, and then they drop it. And then they just move purely ecosystem, cloud-based, software-based. There's no winning logic with Sony fanboys. You see this, dude? What do you mean? What... Are you talking about me? Are you calling me a Sony fanboy and speaking about me as if I'm not here? This guy has no idea. 3-bit. I invite you. Get into the ring. Put your gloves on. Don't hit below the belt and insult. You're trending towards insulting by speaking condescendingly about me. Get in the ring, big boy. Put your gloves on. Bring your logic. What am I getting wrong here? Do it. Impress us all. We're all waiting to see your logic. Come on. I'm right here. Invite me to the show? No, I don't know who you are. You don't get to get a mic on my show. Talk in the chat like everybody else. Pull your pants up, be a big boy, and argue with logic. As another blip, we switched ingest servers, so that should fix whatever problems we were having. You guys are going to probably have to refresh. If you get a follow-up blip, then... If you get a follow-up blip, just refresh. Just refresh. I'm not looking for any clout. You're not looking for clout. You just come into my show and talk about me to somebody that you know and say, can you believe this idiot? Can you believe this Sony fanboy? Doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. You're not looking for clout. You sound weak to me. You sound scared. You sound scared to me. Thank you for the rose over here, Sean Justice. Appreciate that. New to the show, thank you so much for watching and hanging out. I also stream on YouTube under Reforge Gaming. Invite him to talk. You sound scared being behind the wall. No, you don't understand. I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me. This is my show. I have almost 600 people watching me on YouTube. You think I'm just going to let some randy dandy jump on a microphone and talk in my show? Are you kidding me? I've been doing this for 8 years. Why would I just let somebody use the chat like everybody else? Do it. You're saying Halo's never been good isn't a Sony fanboy statement? I said Halo Infinite was never good. It launched without features. It launched bugged. It launched without ground-level foundational franchise features, and the multiplayer launched in a beta, and they couldn't make simple changes to the Battle Pass XP earn rates. They literally couldn't fix Big Team Battle for like 90 days. What are you talking about? I played Halo for weeks, covered it for weeks. I pumped up Halo for weeks. That's not something a Sony fanboy would do. You can't retroactively act like Halo Infinite was great. It wasn't. That's the point I was making. I covered Halo like crazy. I pumped it up. I played it every Friday night with the community. What are you talking about? Wait, that's not a Sony fanboy statement. That's somebody who was looking forward to Halo. I was looking forward to Halo, and I was incredibly disappointed with it. What frickin' Sony fanboy buys and covers Halo for a month and then ultimately decides this is a disaster? It's incredibly disappointing. The Sony fanboys that you think I'm in that category of, did they play the game? Did they cover the game? Did they make it an incentive for members? I had member party nights with Halo Infinite. You don't know what you're talking about. You think in tribalistic, dichotomous ways because it's easier for your brain to make decisions about who you should like or dislike instead of actually entering into discussions with nuance and maybe adjusting your position because there's new facts and new information about there, ironically saying that I can't be won over with logic as you put me into some stupid, narrow category. Like I said, pull up your pants and get in the ring and debate me instead of taking shots at me like a coward. Do it. I'm here, in the street, by myself. There's nobody else here. I'll give you an hour of my day. Get in the ring and stop insulting me and let's see your logic. Let's see it. Where's your logic? Are you really gonna try and defend Halo Infinite's launch? I'd love to see you do it. Do it with your logic. Do it. Established flagship franchise gets delayed because it was so embarrassingly shown at a showcase in the summer. Gets delayed, barely gets launched. And the autopsy of Halo Infinite is that leadership was a shambles, contractual policy was abysmal, it was driving people out the door, they were having knowledge loss, they weren't even working on the game, they were working on like Unreal projects to see if the game could be ported to another engine. What logic are you going to use to defend Halo Infinite in light of everything we know now? They couldn't even give you XP after a match. They're like, yeah, we can't do that. Invite him to the stream. You were talking and he's typing. Unfair fight. Quit crying. You seriously are going to go into a live stream and you're going to debate somebody with insults. And when they push back and say, use your logic, use your argumentation like everybody else, get into the ring, you're like, well, it's not fair. You have a microphone. Then why the frick are you here in a live stream? Why are you here? Seriously, why are you here? So is that what you do? You go into live streams and you say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Can you believe this idiot? He doesn't even understand logic. And then they're like, hey, you in the audience, I'll debate you. Start typing right now. How am I messing this up? Use your logic. It's not fair, bro. You got a microphone and I don't. Yeah, you sound like a coward. Cheap shot taken, drive-by, tribalistic, console warrior. That's all you are. You don't have the stones to put up a logical argument. You don't. You don't have the stones. Do it. I dedicate this chat to you. I will only read what you say. You can type multiple things at once. Just type it, hit enter, type something else, hit enter. It's not that hard. Don't let them get you frustrated. Oh, this is what I do. Thoughts on Hogwarts for PS5? I love it. I've been playing it a bunch, 24 something hours I put into the game. My wife's put in about 8 hours. We've been having a blast with it. How about a gifted train after biting his head off? Listen. Don't come into my house with your dirty shoes and insult me and act like, oh yeah, but I don't have a microphone. I can't debate you. You're the one that came in and did this. You came in the room and insulted me and talked about me as if I wasn't here, and you refused to enter into the argument. Awful lot of people seem supportive of him being on the show, but I'm not going to do that. He could be on the mic for 2 seconds and say something terrible, and then I would get in trouble. Not he's got a snowball chance in hell to getting on my show. I'm not letting somebody do that. This ain't tickety talk. This ain't the tickety talk. I can't be just yanking people into the show. You can only type so many words before you max as to just talking. Exactly. He won't because he's scared. Listen, this must be your first day on the internet, because in the live environment when there's debates, and this is what I do for basically Monday through Friday, if you're not good enough to debate in the chat, then you're not good enough for me to interact with you, because everybody else seems to manage to do it. I've had people come in here and debate me for hours, and they use the chat. Why? Because they're better than you. They're better than you. They get more of my respect. Not to mention, this guy insulted me. That's how you get on my show? Where are you? Where are you? Like, are you one of those people? Like, you're that entitled? You walk in the room and insult somebody, and you're like, oh, I can't believe he clapped back. Yeah, that's the way the world works. You throwing shots also? Yeah, that's deserved. You can walk in my house and insult me, and then when I ask you to debate, you bow out like a coward? Yeah, what? I knew it. Before you typed it, I said it. You sound like the type of person that clutches your pearls because you go into a room and you pop off and you say something and you insult somebody, and when they clap back, you're like, oh, that's just so unkind. What are you, 7? Actual honest question for 343. What other studios have Microsoft mismanaged, not trying to catch anyone out? Well, here's the thing, though. I didn't say they mismanage all of their studios. I said, as it stands right now, the way that they treat their studios, why would I want them to own more? They took their prized possession, and look at what they did with it. Yeah, look at what they've done with Rare. Look at the track record of Rare. Come on. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue and say every game they put out's crap. That certainly isn't true. Forza Horizon was amazing and got awards. Hi-Fi Rush, Psychonauts 2, and High on Life. I've not once indicated that, like, oh, every game they put out's terrible. Every game they put out's terrible. I've said, look at their flagship title and look at the autopsy of that title and look at what the employees are saying. Think about it like this. Imagine that you can think beyond just 2 categories, right? Because I really truly believe that some of this is not your fault. You come to YouTube and there's YouTubers that are like, I love Xbox no matter what, and I hope Phil Spencer dates me. And then there's people that are like, I'm a Sony pony, ride or die. Xbox is trash. And it's conditioned you to think that that's just the categories that content creators fall into. You're like, yeah, so this guy is being critical of Xbox, therefore he's a Sony pony. That's just that, like, some of that's not your fault, because honestly, I don't think YouTube gives you a lot of options. But I'm somebody who was excited about Halo Infinite. I'm somebody that dedicated a month of coverage virtually every other day, covering it, talking about it, and playing the game with my community. And I was disappointed every week Every day, my disappointment increased. And then the way they handled the game in the aftermath, go back and watch. I have been ridiculously consistent with Halo Infinite. I said, it's the engine. From moment one, I said it's the engine. They can't make quick, agile decisions. They can't even give me XP after a match. They can't break up things in the store. Why are they selling the color blue? I don't understand. They can't fix big team battle. It took them 90 days to fix that. Like, what on earth is going on, right? I said from the beginning that it felt like it was the engine. And then what am I supposed to do as someone who was looking forward to Halo Infinite and went through pretty significant disappointment and annoyance because of the way the game came out? And then when the autopsy of the game hits the public airwaves, 343 is like, yeah, basically we're getting downsized and the story team's getting gutted. Joseph Staten, the guy who actually got the game out the door, he's leaving. And a bunch of ex-employees who now actually work at Respawn, they all start speaking out. And they're like, it was the leadership, it was the engine, it was the 18-month contractual policies. I'm not supposed to call that out and say, well, that's concerning. That's all on Microsoft. You didn't cover Halo enough? Did somebody say I didn't cover Halo enough? Thank you for the screenshot, Sven. Like, come on. Like, me being critical and saying, listen. People trying to claim that Halo Infinite launched and was good or great and then got mismanaged as a live service game, I reject that new narrative. No, the game launched and was bad from moment one. I was critical from moment one because I was looking forward to it. And I said from the beginning, this is leadership, this is engine. And the 18-month contractual policy, because Jason Schreier indicated that somebody from 343 said that like 50% of the 343 employee base was on an 18-month contractual attrition rate, which means you were constantly having people leave and go out the door. But so you hear me say all that, and you just are like, yeah, this guy's a Sony fanboy. I just literally did nothing but rant about facts and demonstrable empirical data that you can go and check to show you that I arrived at my criticism, my thoughts, my conclusions about Halo and about Microsoft's ownership of 343 and about Microsoft's like treatment of games as software. That's all concerning because of all of those facts and all of that logic. And then you come in and you want to be like, this Sony fanboy doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't even know logic. Of course, I'm going to gut check you into the corner of the room and say, back up what you're saying. Back it up. Because I didn't arrive at any of this because I'm anti-Xbox. This is quite literally me covering Halo since it launched. Since Halo Infinite launched, I've been covering it. Watching it. Analyzing the problems, making predictions about what I thought led to this moment. I said you don't know logic because you had slated that Starfield's coming to PlayStation. Okay, that's your smoking gun? Like, bro, I can't. All right. Pete Hines does an interview. Do you know who Pete Hines is? Like, Pete Hines is not an intern. Pete Hines is not an intern. I'm trying to find the interview. Pete Hines is the head of publishing at Bethesda. Head of publishing. So this guy is up there. And he's not just up there. He's in charge of publishing. And he says in an interview, I don't know. He gets asked about Starfield staying as an Xbox exclusive in perpetuity, and the head of publishing at Bethesda is like, I don't know. What? And then just yesterday, Brad Smith says the future is cross-platform. Moving forward, that's what we're going to be doing with our property. cross-platform games. Basically indicating and signaling, yeah, exclusive to our property, exclusive to our ecosystem. No, we don't need to do that. We've signed a deal with Nintendo. We've signed a deal with Nvidia. Nvidia is one of our cloud gaming competitors. And I look at all of that and I deduce, yeah, I think Starfield could come to PlayStation. This guy doesn't know logic. What? That's a reasonable prediction. I've reasoned to that position. I've connected dots, and I've reasoned to that position. Yeah, you've said such brilliant things in my chat as Sony owns 80% of the market. No. That's not the stat that came out of these meetings. They don't own 80% of the market. They make up, well, I thought they said that was 70-30 globally. But that's sales. That's not ownership, bro. That's not ownership. That's sales. Because it's like a 94-6 split in Japan. Sony outsold Microsoft 70-30. Here it is. They're talking about market share, not ownership. You understand? You got to get your terminology correct. You're talking about me like I don't know logic. You're putting things in chat that are factually false. Market share, okay? Just in Europe, Sony's market share is 80%. Globally, it's 70-30. Now, market share is not ownership. They're talking about console sales. Like, in the context of that conversation, he's talking about console competition and sales because Sony is not outselling mobile. It's not. Like, if you want to talk about that stat and then you're deducing from that, oh no, Sony owns 70% of the market. Talk about not knowing logic. They're speaking within the confines of consoles. I literally said global market. Yes, but they don't own 70 or 80% of the global market. Globally, with respect to console sales, they have a 70-30 dominance. If you want to actually look at global dominance, you have to look at mobile sales. Apple made more money on video games than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined in 2019. So if you want to talk about the global gaming market and who has dominance and who makes the most money, it's not Sony. It's, ironically, the company in the background that nobody's talking about, Apple. Apple makes more money globally on games than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined. Combined. So you come at me and call me a Sony fanboy, and you tell me I don't know logic, but then you're in my chat saying things like Sony owns 80% of the market. That's not true. Demonstrably false. Like, and they don't even make the most money on games. If you look at the gaming market, Apple makes more money? Yes. Global sales equals a global market, Lono. This is why you can't come on my show. Sony also takes a smaller cut. Yeah, Sony takes a smaller royalty share. Yeah, all the talk about Sony being greedy and Sony, remember that lawsuit in Europe where they were trying to claim that like Sony's greedy or whatever and they're bad for the market? Sony actually takes a smaller percentage than Apple. Apple's way more cutting into revenue with respect to property and games sold on their ecosystem. Microsoft needs a studio That they scared to fire like Santa Monica Studio. There's evidence of Apple with the whole Fortnite thing that went down. Yeah. I mean, Apple is they're shrewd, man. Got like something on my mic messing with me. That's why I said, like, in this grand scheme, let's bring all this back around here. That was a big off-road wrecking session. Because listen, if you're going to come in here and you're going to insult me and you're going to use labels, you better buckle up. I don't abide that. I don't allow for that, especially when you're going to do it in a super condescending way, like you're talking to your friend, like, can you believe this idiot? And then you say such brilliantly factually based things like Sony owns 80% of the market, right? And you want to come on my show. Like, listen, if you really look at this situation, that's the biggest question mark. When's Apple going to weigh in? When's Google going to weigh in? Because the mobile market stands to be very, very disrupted by this more than anything. I think the biggest just blow and the biggest fight land that they got yesterday was the Nvidia deal. I think the Nvidia deal is more convincing than the Nintendo deal. I do. I think it's more convincing because that's a direct cloud gaming competitor, and they're like, yeah, we'll go into contract with you, right? We'll go into contract with you because Microsoft's thinking it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is somebody's playing our game. If they're playing our game on Nvidia Go, or if they're playing it on xCloud, we don't care. All that matters is that they're playing our game. That's all that matters. Nvidia left Google hanging. Listen, as far as global influence goes, Apple and Google, they're big players. And if they push against this deal, it will get changed. There'll be concessions because I guarantee you they haven't. If they've weighed in, we haven't heard about it yet, and they will weigh in because Microsoft can use cloud-based solutions to completely undercut both of their stores. Both of their storefronts can get completely undercut. They can. Like, King, what you'd want to do is look at the revenue that King generates annually. Okay. And then you have to say, okay, what percentage of that annual revenue do they generate on Apple? Right? So slice that over here. And say, okay, that's a pretty big slice. That's a lot of money. Take 30% of that. That's everything that Apple gets. Microsoft could step into this equation and say, Apple gets nothing. How would they do that? It's the same way they got Fortnite back on iDevices. They would just use the cloud. They would rip all of the King games out of the Apple store. Microsoft would have its own Microsoft mobile gaming store, probably call it something like Xbox Mobile, and you'd go to that website through your browser and all the games would be there. So when you buy those games or when you do a transaction in that game, none of it goes to Apple. That's what they did with Fortnite. It started when he said Halo has never been good. Then he backtracked saying it was just Infinite. Okay. If you honestly think that when I was ranting about Halo, I was saying that Halo's never been good, you weren't paying attention, and that's your fault. Within the context of the discussion and the equation that I was trotting out, I was saying you can't rewrite history. This revisionist history that Halo Infinite was great when it came out and then they bumbled it because they tried to go to live service. When I said that it never was good, go back and look what I said after that. I said it launched without features. It launched without foundational features. Obviously, those are called contextual clues to tell you I'm talking about Infinite. Like, I'm clearly talking about Halo Infinite when I say that it launched in a bad state. And then I also said its multiplayer launched in a beta. You think when I'm saying all that, I'm talking about Halo since its inception? Again, you got to use context. You want to ridicule me about logic? Use your logic, Sherlock. I was clearly talking about Halo Infinite. I didn't backtrack. You're just not keeping up. I'm just trying so hard not to insult you. You're not keeping up, man. Go back to when I said that. It is crystal clear. I was talking about Halo Infinite. Why would I criticize Halo as an entire franchise as launching without foundational features and launching its multiplayer in a beta? I believe I also went on to rant about the Battle Pass not being able to give us XP after matches. Those are all contextual clues as to what I was talking about, and it's on you. If you missed that because you were like, he doesn't like Halo, Sony fanboy, and then you start typing, that's on you. That's not on me. I don't have to say Halo Infinite every single time to help you come to a deductive conclusion about something. Three-bit must be an analog for his brain processing power. Oh, come on, Eugene. Come on. Come on. I'm staying up here. I don't want to get... I'm doing everything I can to stay up here. Stick to the facts. Stick to the logic. Don't insult. It's really hard when somebody insults you first. Plus, Lono said they took one of the most important games and turned it into crap. That would be another contextual clue that I was clearly talking about Halo Infinite because I said, look at what they did to your boy. My entire rant was based on, look what they did to your boy. You took your flagship and you shot it in the leg. Go back and watch the rant. It's crystal clear I'm talking about Infinite. Backtrack. I don't backtrack. I make tracks. That was a good line. I don't backtrack. I don't backtrack, homie. I willingly concede when I'm wrong. I do that all the time. I do. That was not a backtrack. Bars, right? Online MVP! My man, Online MVP dropping a 40 bomb of members on the chat. Listen, it's been spicy, it's been hot, but we haven't banned anybody. I'm not going to read all 20 names. Check chat. You may have gotten gifted a membership on YouTube. My man Gale Winforce with 8 months of membership at a Member Plus, almost a year. Love the content. Welcome back in. Listen. I didn't ban 3-bit. I didn't ban the other person that he was talking to because seriously, everybody calm down for just a second. Disagreement is literally what makes this stream fun and exciting. And as long as you stay respectful, you are totally allowed to stay here and disagree with me. That's why I said, get in the ring and put your gloves on. Fight me. Do it. I'm willing to let you do it. I've had people change my mind about positions. I've had people compel me to say, you know what, you're right. You know, I need to be more nuanced in whatever I'm saying. Or, I'm going to change my position on that. I've done that historically, okay? I banned one person for attacking the 3-bit clown. Yeah, somebody actually got banned for attacking 3-bit because that's just not what we do. Rage farming? No, I'm not rage farming. Today, if you were here for my show open, my opening monologue was actually quite a bit positive about... I actually think Xbox won the day yesterday. As far as convincing the public and potentially convincing the regulators, my show open was actually pretty positive. I said, I don't know. This Nvidia deal is big. I actually think the Nvidia deal is more compelling and more convincing than the Nintendo deal. Because the Nvidia deal is them signing a contract with their direct gaming cloud competitor. But again, if you try and soundbite me and be like, well, he was being critical of Halo Infinite, he must be a Sony fanboy. Like, I've been talking for 2 hours straight. Like, if you want to grab slices of the conversation and say, you're rage farming, you're a Sony fanboy, listen, with very little respect, your brain's too small. You're thinking too narrow. Expand your brain. Allow for more information to enter it. Allow for more nuance. I don't have any respect for people that are going to drive by, soundbite, and be like, oh, you're rage farming, you're a Sony fanboy. No! You're the fanboy, and you're rage farming. You're just going by and grabbing a clip. You're just grabbing 2 seconds of my rant. I've been talking for 2 hours. And I even gave a guy the stage. I said, come on. You insulted me. Let's debate. I invited him up to the stage. I didn't give him a microphone. That's stupid. I'm going to let some random person who insulted me talk on my stream? That's a really quick way to get banned on YouTube. You're only responding when someone insulting you. Okay. Let me help you, Timmy. If I sat here and only interacted with the people who agreed with me, would that be a good show? Would it? What do you think people would say if I did that? What? What do you think people would say? They would say, oh, it's just an echo chamber. He won't read any of the people who disagree with him. Are you okay for real? I think your blood pressure is high. Seems like you might be on an alt. Some of you guys coming in, never really seen you before, mentioning my blood pressure. Yeah. Seems like you might be on an alt account. I can smell a stink on you. Lono, next time someone calls you a PlayStation fanboy or an Xbox fanboy, just tell them you're just a fanboy of common sense. Cowboy says, I played xCloud yesterday, and it's still inconsistent. I think xCloud will not get better because Microsoft will want to push cloud games to GeForce Now because of the deal. Your thoughts? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Here's the thing with xCloud. Here's the thing with xCloud, and here's the thing with any cloud gaming service, okay? Here's the thing with any cloud gaming service. I honestly think it has way more to do with infrastructure. Think about it. And I've talked about this before. I think the internet infrastructure in America is so woefully behind because there's no competition. And this is related to the Activision Blizzard deal. Like, if you really let all these companies consolidate, it can be really bad for the consumer. Cell phone companies, cable companies, right? Internet service providers, okay? There's no reason for the internet service provider in my neighborhood to do anything about the infrastructure, to run new lines, to install fiber, to upgrade potential upstreams and downstreams. They don't have any interest in doing that. Why? Because why should they? There's no competition. I'm going to cancel my cable internet. Okay, who are you going to go with? Satellite. I have no power. What am I going to call him and say to him? I'm going to cancel my cable internet because I can't good enough upstream and downstream speeds. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Good luck. Get that satellite dish and see how well your upstream and your downstream is. So I think that's one of the biggest barriers for cloud, because until you can get really, really consistent high speeds. Okay, so I'm a live streamer, okay? And I actually live stream on a slower internet because it's more consistent, because it's a dedicated line. I have cable in my house that can pull down and upload way faster. I don't stream on it. Well, I'm streaming on it on Tickety Talk, but that's only because it's Wi-Fi. My hard line in live stream on YouTube is always on the AT&T because it's a dedicated line, even though it's slower. So, similar rules will apply for cloud gaming to get into a better position. If you could have a much more endemic upstream downstream standard across the board, it's like super consistent in speeds, then cloud gaming would be, you almost wouldn't even notice. Right? Like, you wouldn't notice. You'd be like, this feels great. I'm playing this through my TV. You would just plug an Ethernet cable into the back of your television. You'd be getting a rock solid connection of, fiber upstream, downstream. And it'd be great. Now, the reason it needs to be endemic to the architecture and the infrastructure of internet in the West, it can't just be you, right? It can't just be your internet connection. Here's why. The servers that you're accessing, the Microsoft cloud servers or the Nvidia Geforce servers, you're going to have to node hop to get to them Does that make sense? So you could have an amazing connection with your internet provider and you do a speed test and it's just blazing fast. Upstream, downstream is amazing. Doesn't matter. Because until the entire infrastructure is better, you're going to pass through this node, that, like server. Oh, hey, now I'm connected to the cloud device that's processing my game, right? Like Nvidia Geforce is like $20 a month for like a really, really high-end PC that your game is running on. But if you're hopping through a bunch of infrastructure and servers that are going through old lines, exactly, Siege, you're going to get bottlenecks somewhere. You're going to get lag. You're going to get input drops. You're going to get latency. So that's the biggest barrier for cloud right now. You need a CDN for gaming with servers in every city. Yeah. Like they have to build that infrastructure or cloud's always going to be like, it's kind of laggy. Like you're just going to want to install it. I can totally understand you because I do cloud for college. Anybody that's interacted with cloud technology knows that like it's okay, but it's got a long ways to go. I think there's similar. It's similar. It's analogous to VR. Like they've got a lot of hurdles to jump over. Lono, I was one of the biggest Stadia fans, so I know all about cloud gaming. That's how Doc met me. But I played xCloud when I was great. Months ago, it started to get bad, and it's still bad. I can't even speculate as to why that's happening, Cowboy. Yeah, I can't even speculate. I don't know why that's happening. I have no clue. Maybe they're doing maintenance on their servers. Maybe there's problems in certain hubs or cities. I have no idea. What do you think about Steam Deck 2? I actually think the Steam Deck is... I said this a little while ago. You might not have been here. I think it's the first step in a pretty big evolutionary step for gaming. Because what you're probably going to see going forward is... you're going to see other companies making Steam Decks. So imagine if you can go and buy... because like right now you can go buy a bunch of different gaming laptops, right? Made by different companies. Imagine if you could go and buy a Steam Deck made by Alienware. And it would... oh man, it's crazy strong, right? And you'd pay a premium. But think about that. Think about how awesome that would be. I think one of the biggest barriers for the advancement of that type of gaming is battery technology. Because the minute you trot out a high-level, like, premium gaming Steam Deck, let's say Alienware makes one, you'd burn through a battery. You could play for, 45 minutes, and the battery would be dead. Because think about the form factor, right? It has to be small enough to, like, be winsome. And once you start making it that small, then the battery's going to be small. And when the battery's small, all that power... that nice bright screen, that GPU, that CPU, just going to drain that battery. It's Alienware to be overpriced. I'm just using that because everyone knows Alienware, and you can picture in your brain, right, like a high-end Steam Deck. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that like they would make the best. I'm just giving you an anchor point to see that like, yeah, Steam Decks could go far. They could. You'd need replaceable batteries. Internal batteries won't cut it. Yeah. Those people are changing so much. Steam knew what they started. Yeah, I was pretty like... what's the word? I was pretty tuned in to the fact that when they announced Steam Deck, they were like talking about like... sorry, I was just reading something. From moment one, they were really, really transparent about the fact that like they wanted other people making Steam Decks. Sorry, I didn't mean to like lock my own brain up there. I was reading something about New World's doing seasons. So I think that it's pretty clear from moment one the Steam Deck strategy was sort of like, this is step one. This is step one. Like, they see that thing going far, and I think they see other companies stepping up. So I don't know right now if there are other companies, throwing their hat in the ring, as it were, and making Steam Decks. I don't know if that's already happening. It wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all if we even see some of them maybe announced this summer at Summer Game Fest or E3. It'd be a great time to announce it if they can have it out by holiday, especially. There were other companies already doing it, says Butters. Yeah, I see. I don't know. If that's happening, I didn't see it, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. That just means I didn't see it. Like when they did a breakdown video and said, "Don't break it down yourself." I'm having a hard time tracking with what you're talking about. They got One X Player and the Aya Neo. How do they do the next device if Microsoft is so focused on software? But I don't think that's what I mean. Like, I don't think Microsoft's going to do. I think they're going to move away from devices. I do. I think they're going to move away from hardware. I think their focus is software. And that's not something new. I've been saying that for months. I'm not the only one that's been saying that. That's not unique to me. I don't want like some big giant peacock feather in my cap being like, I said that. But that's been part of my coverage. Like, since the very beginning of this acquisition, I said, I remember literally scolding people in my chat saying, I have a greater respect for Microsoft than you do because I see this plan and strategy being so much bigger than Call of Duty in a console war. They want property so they can sell it everywhere while bolstering the value of Game Pass. It's a 900 IQ play. I see so much more to the deal than the people that are like being console tribalists. And I kept getting told that I was scared and that Sony is scared and that Sony is crying. And I was just, that's just such a bad read. That's just such a bad read of the situation. There's a market out there for a good enough console for the average person. Leave PlayStation to be the luxury gaming brand. There are people that are happy with the Series S. Well, and there have been people that have pushed back on my Series S criticism because I've been critical of the Series S, and there have been people that have pushed back on my criticism. And they've said that they think that the Series S is going to move to being a cloud machine because of the memory constraints and its difficulty with performance. They'll turn it into a cloud machine because it's saturated the market really, really well. I don't know if that's true though. I don't know if that's true. Because if you start telling people, oh yeah, you can develop your game for the Series X, yeah, you don't have to worry about optimizing for the Series S anymore. We'll just run your game on the cloud. I don't know if that's convincing either, though. I could see a developer saying, we don't want our game to run on the cloud. Cloud's not in a good place right now. It's getting there, but it's got a long way to go. A lot of game developers won't want their game to be on the cloud. You're not wrong with Microsoft. They even have their cloud services. Xbox Game Pass cloud gaming through a PS5 browser. Right? Yeah, I don't know. That would be something that PlayStation would probably try to block. How about all the platforms being able to cross-play with equal performance possible someday? The entire point of my discussion today and my headline being less exclusives, no more exclusives, is literally because of what the guy said yesterday. Brad Smith goes to this Xbox Activision press conference and he literally says the future is cross-platform. Like, Microsoft's going to move away from having exclusive titles. I really do think they are. My Reforge roast came in yesterday. Can't wait to try it. You're the best, Lono. It made it for my day yesterday. It made my day yesterday. Thank you guys so much. Listen, let me do a little commercial. I've been going hard in the paint for 2.5 hours, and I've not interrupted the show almost at all. So do me a favor. If you like the show, it got fiery, it got spicy, I got hot. I would imagine that it's entertaining. The viewership didn't start to go down until I calmed down. If you've been enjoying the show, there's a ton of ways to support what I do. It's free to smash like and hit subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, and it helps out the video on YouTube. It helps out the video over here on the Tickety Talk. So if you want to support me directly, you can click the join button to become a member, or the $sign at the bottom of the chat, or you can order some of our coffee. This is not a sponsor. This is ours. ReforgeRoast.com. My wife and kiddos bag that up and ship it to you. That is our property. We own that, okay? Now, I do have sponsors. My glasses are from Gamer Advantage. My shirt is from 80s Tees. All those links are below in the description. Support as you can. And we are at 45 members. Every 25 members, I gift 5 back to the community, and I've been doing that at the end of the stream as an incentive to those people who stick around, right? 5 more, and we'll be at 50. This is mostly from people gifting. If right now you can afford a membership on YouTube at $5 a month, don't keep relying on the gifters. The gifters are crazy generous, but seriously, like, I'm not running ads. I'm not hitting you with advertisements every 20 minutes like some streamers on YouTube, okay? I do this every day full time, and paying members is how I do it. It gets you in my Discord. I'm getting a PSVR 2 today. I'm going to be doing a PSVR 2 stream on Friday night with my wife. It will probably be hilarious. Someone got me a code for Gran Turismo. I'll get the Horizon game. It's going to be a blast. You're not going to want to miss it. All those things support me directly, so consider doing any one of those things. Yeah, this is ours. It's in our house. Are you on Spotify? I'm never live on Spotify, but you can always catch the past broadcasts on Spotify. Sorcerer gifting a member, and it goes to Shannon. Shannon, who just had good things to say about the coffee. Thank you, Shannon, for being here, and thank you, Sorcerer, for gifting a member. Yeah, you can listen to all of my past episodes on Spotify if that's more convenient for you, but I'm not live on Spotify. That's not... We're looking into how we could probably do that, like multicast and be everywhere all at once. So. PlayStation's put out a bunch of VR2 ads on their YouTube. Mm-hmm. Are there Nightbot commands on the Tickety Talk? No. Mm-mm. Since when did Xbox have exclusives? Well, Starfield and Redfall are going to be exclusives this year. And I'm telling you, people think I'm crazy for saying this. Listen, you can think I'm crazy, and you can think I'm totally off in left field on this. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we see Starfield land on PlayStation. I think Microsoft's strategy is changing before our eyes. It's changing because they want this deal to go through, and I think this deal is part of the strategy shift. It's like, listen, let's buy as much video game property as we can. Let's sell it everywhere. Is the Series S worth it for Microsoft if it bottlenecks cloud gaming but sells at a higher volume? The Xbox Series S, I've continued to say it's a self-made Trojan horse. I do. I think it's a self-made Trojan horse. I just think as it continues to saturate the market faster than the Series X, I think it's a problem. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the DM. I see your DM. I'll say to you. Doing Hogwarts today? Yes. We'll be playing more Hogwarts Legacy gameplay today. I can't stream that for you over here on the Tickety Talk. You got to come to YouTube, go to Reforge Gaming. You can also follow me on all socials at Reforge TV. Like if you're looking for a Discord server or like Instagram and Twitter. I have the Series X. It's really powerful. I like my Series X. I do. Wish my PlayStation 5 looked more like my Series X. I think the PlayStation 5 is just ugly. I love the shape and the form factor of the Series X. I love my Series X for multiplayer because I think the infrastructure for multiplayer and partying up and the UI is just so much better on Xbox. But I like the games quite a bit more on PlayStation 5 right now. We can talk about the Sony State of Play tomorrow. I don't know if I can co-stream that or not. I think tomorrow's a therapy night. So we might have to I don't know. I'll have to look and see. I think tomorrow we're next week. I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, No Man's Sky Fractal update is also offering PSVR 2 support. I love my Series X. Trying to switch to keyboard and mouse. Get that package yet? I don't know. I told my wife that we need to be able to it says it's on the way and it's supposed to show up today, and I don't know. Out for delivery. It's out for delivery right now via postal service? I can't tell. I think it's postal service. Turn off Xbox One. All right, guys, give me 2 seconds. I need to move my PlayStation 5 so when it's time to play Hogwarts. Remember to stick around. I'm going to be gifting members. It looks like I'm going to end up having to gift 10 members because we're 4 away from another milestone. We're getting really, really close to 2,500 members. That's the next milestone where you'll unlock some weekend streams with my wife and I playing through a scary game. So consider clicking join. If you watch a lot on YouTube, it's always a little bit like, man, 2.5 hours of fire. And I'm like, hey, man, it supports the stream if you click join. And y'all are like, no, you just wait for the gifteds. These gifteds are generous. We got to see some more commitment from folks if you can. All right. And if you want to stick around for the gameplay, we'll be doing that in a little bit. So stick around. You might get a gifted from me. Throw your hat in the ring on your own. Make sure if you did get a gifted membership that you do get in our Discord server. Give me 1 second. I'm back. Yo, Vengeance! You did it as I walked away. Taking us to 51. Guys, you can't have a weird 51 member total on the day. How do I join you? How do I join? You put your wife and watch. If you want to join, you got to come to Reforge Gaming on YouTube and become a member. $5 a month. You get into all the member streams, behind the scenes streams, Discord. You get into all our extra stuff. Yo, welcome back, Paul. 8 months at a member plus. Yeah, the Jedi Survivor video, I didn't watch it because there was no new footage. I heard good things, but I didn't have a chance to watch it. I did not have a chance to watch it. Odd question. Is it better to hop over to gameplay and hit the like than bounce, or bounce just before redirect? If you go and you like, watch for a minute or two. That's all you got to do. If you come over to gameplay, when we do gameplay, watch for like a minute or two and smash the like button. That's all you got to do. That's it. Let me give you guys a member count. You guys went crazy again today with members. We are at 2,224. 2,224 members. So we're inching closer and closer to the 2,500. And YouTube has just suddenly decided it doesn't like my shorts. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I feel like they changed something. Saw a New World tweet with a roadmap. Yeah. Yeah, I'm having people ping me about it. You missed a rant. You missed an epic battle. A battle of epic proportions. It was good. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the debate. It was fun. The insults were minor, but they were enough that they deserved a little bit of a backhand. I was like, yeah, you can't be calling me that. But it was good. It was good. What's good, GC plugs? My wife suggested giving up beer for Lent. It's a good suggestion. Decided to give her up instead. See you in 40 days, wifey. That's good. That's funny. Hogwarts Game of the Year contender. Shorts have changed when they monetize them. Mine are always monetized right away now. Like, some of them have done fine, and then some of them like wait a day or two to be fine, and then some of them don't go anywhere. They just sit there. I'm like, okay. Okay. All right. If you guys over here on the Tickety Talk want to keep watching, I'm going to keep hanging out. I'm going to give some members here in a minute on YouTube. So head over. Man, my hair's looking good today. It always looks a little bit different on TikTok. I can never quite tell looking up there because my head's tilted back. But, man, it looks nice today. Head over to YouTube, Reforge Gaming, right? You might get a membership. Come hang out, right? Come hang out. And then we're going to play some Hogwarts. That's not members only, all right? Thanks for watching on the Tickety Talk. I'm going to keep streaming on YouTube. YouTube, don't go anywhere. Just sit tight. I'm just getting my phone down. Congrats. You just dug up a lurker. I really enjoy the content going back down now. Hey, thank you so much, Vendirect. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very, very much. This might be better. This would be a fun reaction. Ugh. Want to eat bugs. Why? Yeah, they did something with shorts. I have a short right now over on our Ceasefire channel. It has 1 view. I don't know. They're screwing around with them. They are 100% screwing around with them. YouTube is doing something. They are 100% doing something. And I don't know what it is, but I shouldn't have a short sitting at 1 view. That doesn't even make any sense. It honestly doesn't make any sense. So we got a bunch of new subscribers today, though. That's good. Our Sons of the Forest video yesterday turned around too. It wasn't doing so hot, and then it's doing great now. They're clearly adjusting shorts. Yeah, they are doing something, because man, oh man. Something went very wrong. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I was confident. Like, I knew how to make them. I knew how to set them up. I knew how to keep people watching. And now all of a sudden, it's like, I can't get a good short. I can't get a good short. Save my dadgum life. Shorts are still a work in progress. I had shorts during the month of November carry the channel. They performed so well. Like 90% of my channel's viewership every day was coming from a short. It was nuts. It was absolutely bonkers. And now it's like, I don't know what they're definitely pulling levers and turning dials in the background. They are doing it. They are messing around. Been watching a lot of shorts with Rottweilers and Jaguars lately. That's very specific. I'm enjoying the Frickmas blend so far. Thanks for the fast shipping. Hey, no problem, Grady. No problem at all. Coffee orders have slowed down a little bit, guys. If you've never checked it out, let me just show you. Let me just show you the coffee website. I'm gonna do a little plug, especially since we're not. What's going on here? Is the coffee website down? My shorts feed is broken. Awesome coffee, great taste. Yeah, I can't get to the website. I cannot get to our coffee website. I was going to show it to everybody. There has been clarification. Xbox is giving more than just COD to Nintendo. Yeah, we clarified that earlier in the show. I appreciate you coming back and saying that, Casey. There's a tweet from Brad Smith where he 100% says future Xbox games. Or he says Xbox games will be coming to Nintendo, including Call of Duty. Yeah. I just noticed that Demins was asking about it. Oh, was he? Yeah, it's redirecting me to a loopback IP. Yeah, something's going on. Yeah, because I was just getting ready to show everybody the site. It might be just a little bit of a hiccup. I think cheetahs are often paired with gentler breeds like Goldens. Creature says sorry in all caps. He's always got a tinker. He's always got a tinker. He might have failed to mention I was working on that. He looked at it the other day and didn't like something, so now he's. Oh no, you might be doing the other thing we talked about. He might be doing the other thing we talked about. Yeah. We're gonna make some back end changes. Thought I said I was working on that today. I don't remember. We said we were going to go forward with the decision. I didn't know when you were going to do it. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just you guys will just have to wait to order. We're going to be making some back end changes that'll help some things, but nothing that'll mess with you guys. But it'll mean that the website's down for a little bit. OnlyFans spinoff? No. Okay. We should be able to go down here. Let me change this. Okay, I'm going to be gifting those memberships shortly. So if you guys want to push this to 75, you have a little bit of time. To do that. If not, no worries. I'll gift the 10 that I owe you, and that'll be a thank you to everybody for sticking around, and then we'll be switching to some Hogwarts gameplay. Are you adding the option for us to select what kind of drawing we want from your kiddos? I mean, I don't... Isn't there a spot for a message? I don't know. I just liked, you should be at 425 now. Yeah, if you guys really want to help this video out, smash the like button and get it to 500 likes. If like there's 70-something people that haven't pushed it yet, that would be amazing. Creature says no, heck no. Well, there's a spot for them to leave a message, isn't there? What game do you think you'll stream after Hogwarts? If there's a game that I stream at length after Hogwarts, it's going to be it's going to be my brain is just leaving me. Diablo. The next big game I will likely be streaming at length, the way that we've been streaming Hogwarts, would end up probably being Diablo. Now, I will play games between now and then. I'm going to show off some of the PSVR 2 games. There's a game coming out relatively soon that I wanted to check out, and I can't remember it right now. Like my brain's kind of having a hard time remembering certain games because everybody moved their dates. Like Jedi Survivor, I'm definitely going to be checking out when it comes, even though it got a little bit of a delay. For 2,500, is Resident Evil 8 VR on the table for horror? We wouldn't be able to complete the game, Butters, but we could certainly make that the game that we play, sure, if that's what you guys want. Hit 2,500 and, you know, I don't know if we could do it this weekend, but we could definitely set it up for next weekend. You guys already unlocked the Star Wars watch party for next month. That'll be episode 3. The No Man's Sky update. Yo, look! The hippogriff just, like, walked into the scene. Look at that. He just, like, walked in. It just happened. Hang on, I need to move myself to the other side. We're not switching just yet. That just happened, so I wanted you guys to see it. Wolong? I don't think I'm going to do anything with Wolong. Did he just say he has an OnlyFans? I do not have an OnlyFans, no. No, I do not have an OnlyFans. I will never do an OnlyFans. No judgment. No judgment. I mean, I would have a conversation with people about that. They think it's good for them. If it was like a friend of mine or something, but... Yo, a 2-spot from Richard Rodriguez. I told you only COD to Nintendo. Jay Wood tweet. Richard. Hang tight, homie. Brad Smith literally tweeted and stated that it would be games, Xbox games, including Call of Duty. That's Brad Smith, man. That's not just some Randy. It's gonna be more than that. You didn't say yeah or nay on No Man's Sky. I started talking about a big bird. Maybe we'll check out No Man's Sky. I love No Man's Sky. Maybe we'll check out No Man's Sky and also check out the PSVR 2 along with it. I don't know. All right, let me gift the 10 members that I owe you guys. This is a great reason to stick around. It's a great reason to stick around. It rewards the loyalists, the people who watch. I like to do this at the end of a stream because it rewards the people who continued to watch. Here they come. And we are going to be switching gears here. We are going to be switching gears to Hogwarts Legacy gameplay. The more you guys support gameplay when I do it, the more gameplay that we can do, the more gameplay that we can invest in. Because it enables me to have that confidence that the community is going to support it. There you go. Everybody that just got a gifted membership, you don't want to miss this Friday night stream that I'm going to be doing with my wife. We'll be doing the PSVR 2. It's going to be hysterical. It's going to be hysterical. We're going to be taking turns playing PSVR 2 games. As long as neither of us get motion sick. She can get motion sick on a plane, and that's about it. I've never really gotten motion sick. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to head over to Hogwarts gameplay. I'm going to be doing campaign gameplay today. I'm going to be doing campaign gameplay. Let me hit the Discord with an announcement as well. We did a bunch of side quests. I played a little bit with my wife last night, and I got all of the little demiguises so that I can open all the locks. Do me a favor. Even if you only come over and watch gameplay for like 5 or 10 minutes, come over, smash like, support the video. The first like 15 minutes are super important, and a lot of y'all bail as soon as I'm not doing talk show. Man, do me a favor. A 2 hour and 55 minute show, give me 15 to 20 more minutes of your day, right? A bunch of you have been coming over and supporting gameplay. I will do a member stream today as well. I have an upload about the PSVR 2. That'll go live, and then we can discuss it, but that'll be after this gameplay, okay? A lot of you have been supporting gameplay, but a lot of you just flat out don't support gameplay. Come on, give me 20 minutes. Come over. Come over. Click the link in chat, right? Or you can ride the redirect, whichever's best for you. Get over there, smash like, hang out for a little bit. I do my best to talk and chat and keep the vibes going, okay? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. This is going to be a continuation of my gameplay in Hogwarts Legacy. I will be doing campaign gameplay today. I did a bunch of side quests in the previous stream, and I will be moving this main story along. So this will be more Hogwarts Legacy gameplay. If you like this kind of content, hit subscribe, hit the bell button, hit the like button. I did a stream this morning about Xbox and their future having less exclusives. So we really enjoy those talk shows. They're safe for work, so make sure you subscribe and you're there for those. I'm going to end that previous stream and bring everybody over who was in that stream. It's going to redirect them over. Make sure as you guys come over, you smash the like button. It helps these videos find more people. Thank you for everybody who contributed to that